I still can't believe that Will is now on the show. Like, this is the second episode, so I guess he's just staying here.
Yeah.
How long have I known you for? I'm bad with time. Like a year and a half?
I think going on 2 years now.
Almost 2 years. Mm-hmm. And for the longest time, once you found out my horrible secret that I'm part of a... I can't make that joke. Welcome to MoonFriends, everybody. I was about to get us on a watch list real quick.
It was at this moment. Once I'm a part of a spatial cult.
It was at this moment I knew I fucked up.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, boy.
We're not part of a ring.
We are sitting in a circle, though.
Hey, I don't know about that.
I would love to get, like, a moon covering for this table one day. That'd be cool.
Oh, God, that's gonna fit more into the occult theme, though.
But I would love it. It'd be so cool.
We need, like, then we have, like, moon robes, moon caps.
That'd be amazing.
That would be amazing. But it's, like, imagine, like...
I wouldn't get a moon cap.
What would happen if
my
your
hair
parents were to walk in to see that?
If your parents were afraid to walk in and you were legitimately afraid of that, you wouldn't be here right now. You see how the last conversation went? Jesus.
This whole podcast that we are doing is to discuss the games that we have played in 2023.
Yes.
Now, I don't know about you guys. I think I said this in the last podcast. 2023, I think, was a pretty damn good year for both just like games I played as far as like what came out before that. Oh, we're also covering like games we played that may not have come out in 2023, but we played that year.
Yeah, for the first time.
Yeah. So
games completely new to us this year.
Yes, and we all have like a very uneven amount of different games we played, so we're going to be kind of taking weird turns, but
it's okay, I figured it out. I'm the math guy, right? Right?
No. Play sad music.
Can you put it?
I'll play it. Yeah, I'll play it.
Sad violin.
I'll zoom in on you when it happens. But
it goes black and white, like the rain effect on it.
Just a picture of Drew's moon head on a bridge just looking out.
I'm never gonna be able to listen to the show. Now that I did that.
So
I will suck you off if you cut out my singing.
Can't, we were talking over it. Anyways.
Don't do that while I'm drinking.
Look away, I don't know.
I can't look away my ears. I say don't say that.
I can't look away my ears.
I can't look when you're looking me up.
Will Ferrell 2024.
Oh my gosh,
there's something I need to admit before we start.
Go for it.
It's something I've been meaning to correct for a while. I forgot last show. This is... Usually I don't have New Year's resolutions, but I need to fix a horrible mistake I've been accidentally perpetuating on this channel.
Oh,
no. I might get like assassinated for this shit. But you know what? I deserve it. I get it.
Should I grab the fake gun?
No,
grab the real one.
Okay.
No.
Remember when I said I had distinct memories of Dr. Rabbit's magic balloon?
Yes.
Well,
cut it.
Yes.
Well then.
I'm so fucking sorry.
It's okay, Drew.
They're not even made by the same animation company. I don't know how he mixed up Dr. Rabbit and fucking Luigi.
It's the same word, magic balloon.
Yeah.
No, that's the thing, is I rewatched the Dr. Rabbit clip and he never says magic balloon.
Oh, that's
true. And the hot air balloon he's in isn't magic, it's just a hot air balloon.
Yeah.
And I tricked you all with my snake tongue.
Well, you didn't intentionally do it.
No, not intentionally. I'm glad you guys understand.
So what was your New Year's resolution, just to be honest?
My intention was to tell you, Koopa football players kidnapped a princess. I fell for hours. Mama Luigi. All right, can we talk about games?
Yeah, let's talk about games now, Drew.
Yeah.
Okay.
The whole point of this podcast.
We're gonna talk about old games first. And Will we'll start us off with I don't know, probably some boring shit. Will you get off the show now?
Yeah, fuck you. So, honestly, I didn't play that many strictly new games. At least like for a good amount of time where I could pretty much rank them. You know, I played a few things here and there, but the two main games for me this year that came out this year were...
You get one.
Okay, one for now. One of the main games. I was gonna do an intro, Drew. Fuck you. Was of course City Skylines 2.
I'm the intro guy. Well, it's me.
Okay.
Give him a break. He's new.
Give me a break. I work full time.
Yeah. I work full time.
I edit our shit, so give me a break. So fuck off.
I work full time with his ass too.
Oh! You want to sit behind that computer and listen to our shit? I fucking dare you. You will get a fucking colonoscopy before that shit happens.
We're 5 minutes in. Let's not kill each other.
Man, I've been waiting for the right opportunity.
Jesus Christ.
Go forward.
So, I already mentioned and talked a bit about Skylines 2 in our last episode.
Yes.
Now, I've probably accumulated like 5-ish hours on it, and I tried it out actually, like, I think the other night just to see if it's changed. I'm like, I'm gonna give it a second chance. Still laggy as shit. Still took forever to load. I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. I'm done. And it's not just the performance that kind of irks me either. So it's kind of the visual and I guess art direction side. So they aim for Skylines 2 to be extremely realistic with the people, the buildings, the textures. But that makes it depressing.
Yeah. Because it's just like you're watching real life.
It's like oh,
I didn't want to manipulate real people.
It's like
I like the video game people.
Like Skylines 1, kind of cartoony, but can still be like realistic in certain ways. The buildings could be a bit goofy in their styles, but still, it's charming. It has its own uniqueness. It's bright and colorful. Skylines 2, bland, concrete, glass, architecture. It's like,
it's a lot of when I think of like the real versus the cartoony aspect, I always think of like GTA games where it's like GTA games like GTA 5 was like not the super realistic type shit, but like it looked very. What are you laughing at?
There was some small fear in the back of my head that I thought you were gonna say. The real versus the cartoony kind of reminds me of Jimmy Timmy Power Up. I don't know why I thought you were gonna say that.
I mean, I guess that makes sense, but no, that's not what I was going to refer to.
Or you could go for another game comparison. You could do Civ 5 and Civ 6.
Well, I'm just saying, like, in my knowledge, I'm just saying, like, I'm trying to go with what most people may know versus what you know and what I don't know, because I'm just saying my thing.
Yeah, I feel like too. Skylines it came out in like 2015, so it's had a long time to really. I mean, it was great when it came out, but it's had also a long time to get more content and just get more stuff. Like they have little radio shows and stuff that have little like cool and quirky little commercials. Skylines 2 has that, but it's kind of boring. I feel like Skylines 2 lacks sort of the soul and the joy and the passion of Skylines 1, at least in my opinion. And like I said, it's from that performance and just the whole how it performs as a game in general, it's pretty disappointing as of now. I still have hope, a little bit left for coming up later this year.
Oh, that's a bad. Don't ever have hope.
I know, but I'm not gonna.
It's a dangerous thing.
My hope, knowing Paradox, they're gonna take my hope and package it as a DLC.
Probably. That's usually what these game companies will do now. Where we have DLC. It fixes everything, but you need to buy it.
But that's sometimes. That is worth it though, just to put a Band-Aid on your wound.
I'm starting to regret paying $80 for the Ultimate Edition too at this point. But when
you're a fan of something, you go hard.
Yeah, I had high hopes.
It happens to the best of us.
I thought it was gonna be the next Anno. It fucking wasn't.
I will say that kind of even though I didn't really get to play it because I ran into much money issues. Sonic Frontiers getting all that free DLC. That kind of like for me like. I enjoyed Sonic Frontiers, but I was always like, there could be a little more here.
I'm sorry. I know what you mean, but that almost sounds like I was so poor I couldn't afford the free DLC.
Ryan, are you okay?
No, it's just
It was the nicest thing Sega's ever done, but it was just I was in the negative, and
The bank
couldn't go down.
had to collect it to account your debts.
I was in the red, not the blue.
No, I had to get rid of my physical copy of the game.
Oh no.
But still, like that's the type of thing where it's like, okay, they took a moderately fun game and made it more fun.
Yeah, I mean that's what Skylines 1 has. Like, seriously, Skylines 1 has a butt fuck of DLC.
That's a number.
It is. And I have all of it.
I can think of a few games that have that.
I have all of it. I'm not ashamed to admit it, but it is really good. It has a lot of content in the game. Transportation packs.
Oh, if it adds something to your game that you know you're going to use,
I've used, I think, at least one or two things from each DLC. Like, it's all useful.
Mm-hmm.
It's really cool, and it really expands what you can do with the game. Skylines 2 doesn't have that yet. I mean, I'm sure it will in future, because again, Paradox monetizes the fuck out of everything. So,
make their money somewhere.
Yeah, they're gonna be milking this cash cow until long after it's gone dry, in my opinion. But yeah, so moving on. So yeah, Skylines 2. Honestly, it's like a 6 out of 10 for me. It's not that good. Also, the people give me nightmares.
They're too realistic. Yeah.
Like, it's Skylines 1.
They're like, are they like Sonic 06 people or like creepy realistic GTA people?
Somewhere in between, really.
Ooh, that's a bad mix.
Yeah. Let me see if I can actually find a picture of it. But yeah, in Skylines 1, the people, they were like high res. They were kind of low polygon, a bit blocky, almost like PS1 characters. But they're charming. The kid was like, oh, it's a little old man with a cane. Oh, it's a little girl with a teddy bear, a little doggo. And Skylines 2 is like, I will eat your soul.
Oh, jeez.
Hang on. Let me see if I can. Okay, so I found a picture of one of the citizens.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Okay, let's call it. Andre?
Who the fuck? Put that in the chat and I will, or not the meme chat, and I will fucking. What the fuck is that? That needs to be seen by the world. That is. What?
They all look like that.
Oh my gosh.
Like, seriously, they all have.
They all look like Chungus Ferguson?
Almost. It's
Potato Cena.
They have. I mean,
what the fuck is that?
Like, look at this one.
Oh, the smile.
Yeah, they all have they're skinwalkers.
So weird. Gosh.
Yeah, like I said,
Ryan, middle class future.
Let's not get back on that.
Let's not think of futures with that involved.
Oh, we'll talk about the future later.
That's when the toxic waste gets into the water supply.
And that's an actual piece of foreshadowing into later content in this episode. Please like, comment, and subscribe for more foreshadowing.
So, was that all you had to say on?
Yes, that is right. So.
Stop talking already. Ryan, you are next. What do you want to start off with? I didn't ask you.
Forgot to pull up my list really quick. So we're doing past games first, correct?
Yes.
So, for past games...
Wait a minute.
Wait, no. It was new games. Then we do past
I was just going to say you...
Yeah.
You fucking idiot.
You fucking broke the formula. We were going to do past games
first. I thought
first.
it was going to be new games first.
No.
That's the whole thing. And then we were going to say if it was going to be past games.
Why did we not catch it the entire
part
time?
2.
Why did we not catch it the entire time?
It's fine. I'll put a label up saying Will's a fucking idiot. He's talking about new games.
Fuck sticks.
It's fine.
God, there's no reason to like. You're the one who. Okay.
It's fine.
It's not time for insult sets later. There's no point in like redoing the show.
It's fine. No, don't fucking redo the show.
But then so does he just bring it up later, or does he just bring up one game when the rest of us have?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so
that's fine.
We're doing past games.
Yes, we're doing past games right now.
So save my new game for this that came out this year for later.
I'll try.
Yes.
I'll try.
Save your new game for the second
He meant
episode.
for the bit. But I'll see what I can do. But anyways.
You're the one who...
Continue.
So... I'm just going to start off simple.
I will shove Rossetti up your ass.
My gosh. Sons of bitches.
You'll go full Dig Dug mode up in you.
Is this what I'm like? Just bigger?
I don't have an answer. Moving onward, I'll talk about Portal 1 and 2. I played those games for the first time last year.
But Ryan, that's 2 games to that one. You're cheating.
No, it's the companion pack on this Switch.
Oh.
So technically it counts as one.
Oh my god.
But, I mean, what is there to say about Portal that hasn't already been said? But, like, for me, like, I typically am a more single-player type of gamer. That's just more of what I'm into. And I can definitely see, I did play 2-player with my sister in Portal 2. That was more fun, but, like, I will say that it was fun. I definitely had a time, and it was definitely, like, I didn't hate it. I wish there were more puzzles, because the puzzles in that game are really fun. And, yeah, like, I'm kind of surprised there haven't been more, because it's a really good puzzle game. Just figuring out all the ways that portals help you, and, like, the tools they give you to be like, hey, why don't you try this, or why don't you think of this, or what about this? Like, this if you spray this here, it could help you, like, jump higher, and if you do this, it'll help you run faster to get momentum.
Yeah.
And just, like, all those weird intricacies that I would have never thought to be like, oh man, why didn't I think of something like that? And it's just like having that experience for the first time this year, really, because, like, in the past I'd only ever played 2-player mode with my friends, so I never got to play. I never owned the game, so I was like, it was such a weird experience, but I did really, really enjoy it, and I encourage anyone that hasn't played it to play it. It's not got, like, a million levels, but, like, the levels that are in it are pretty good, and I wish there was a level editor.
That would be really good for a game like that.
I wish there was, like, a Portal maker.
That would be very good.
And,
I'm surprised Valve hasn't done that, really. Not even as a spin-off or something.
Yeah, because, like, that's what I kept thinking. Like, they give you such big areas, and you're like, okay, well, I know what I need to do, and it doesn't require that big of this area, but, like, I'm envisioning, like, a Mario Maker type setup where it's just like, you can put this here, and it's like, as long as you can get to the goal and you clear it, it's like the Mario Maker where it's like, if you clear it, you can do it. And it's like, why not? That seems fucking great.
It would be very cool.
So I don't know. I really enjoyed it. There wasn't much I had to say on that, but yeah, I encourage anyone who hasn't played those games to really delve into them and get hopefully some of what I got out of it, which is the creativity of what they had.
Yeah.
So
It's weird thinking about it. I guess all I really know, this is not so much about the gameplay, but just, like, the story and the writing. But the only 2 things I really know about Portal are my man Stephen Merchant voices the great Wheatley. Mm-hmm. Man, I love Brit Bonks. And the other thing is, I think it's really interesting that they had a game that early on too, because Portal 1's like 2007 or 8, right?
Yeah.
It's really cool that the entire game takes place in an Apple store, and they actually got Steve Jobs to voice GLaDOS.
I heard
that was I, Justine.
What?
I heard that. I forget which one it was. I don't know if it was 1 or 2, but it's actually one of them is set, I think, in the Upper Peninsula. Like, that's where the lab is.
Yeah, I think that's the second one.
That's the second one? Yeah, it's in, like, the UP of Michigan, which I thought was really interesting.
Because the second one ends on a weird note. It's kind of like, it feels like they just ditched the series. They were just like, we're done. Because it's just like the end, spoilers, I guess, for the end of it, but it's just like, you get out. You get out of the entire thing. They just basically say, get out. And they kick you out. That's it. It's like,
just to be clear, the only other game besides, like, Bridge Constructor Portal, the only other game was a VR Portal game on the moon, right?
Yes.
Back in, like,
so.
God, what, like 2015?
I believe there have been, like, maybe some updates and mods on Steam.
Oh, like, officially?
Oh, yeah, I think they're pretty official, but
yeah, good old Valve, God rest her soul.
But yeah, it was a fun experience. So,
all right, Drew, up for you now. Up to bat.
What do I want to start with? Let's go with Danganronpa.
Okay. I don't know much about the series, so I'm kind of excited to.
Well, I think you're gonna like the series whenever you try it because essentially it's what I like about Persona and what I like about Ace Attorney mashed into one game.
Oh, really?
Just very, 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 very sad.
Oh, jeez.
That did not go where I was expecting it to go.
I kind of had a feeling. I had a feeling because I've seen some Danganronpa.
Well, the premise is you play as one of a couple of high school students, a group of like 10 or so,
Yeah.
and you're all going to a school for gifted students that all have like special talents. You're called Ultimates. And part of the mystery is you don't know what yours is, but you know everyone else has a distinct personality. You have like the ultimate baseball player and like the ultimate model, the ultimate fanfic writer. A lot of goofy personalities.
Ultimate history guy? Let me add him.
All right, so can we just like turn his mic off?
You were the one that wanted to bring me on.
Yeah, everyone makes mistakes.
Don't worry, you said that to me too.
Anyway, you all arrive at the beginning of the school semester, and then you're all immediately knocked out. And you wake up and you find that all the exits and windows are bolted shut with giant plates of metal, and there's no way of knowing what's going on in the outside world. And yes, it is that kind of game.
Welcome to private school, bitches.
And your headmaster is a small talking animatronic bear.
Ted?
Might as well be. Ted meets the Joker.
Oh God.
Monokuma, and he's got a sadistic personality. He's obsessed with despair. That word is uttered a million times in the game. It's like the theme is feeling despair because he puts you through a killing game. He tells all the students that if they ever want to see the light of day and figure out what's going on outside and why they got locked in here in the first place, they have to engage in a killing game. If you kill someone and the body's discovered, a class trial is held where all the students try and figure out who the culprit is. And if they get it right, the murderer is killed off and they get to keep living in the school.
Oh, like Among Us.
Jesus fuck.
Okay, well, you
No, I mean,
you're not
like,
helping your case.
hey, no, hold on. It is kind of Among Us, but with anime.
Literally, no, that's the premise. Seriously.
I know,
But if they reach the wrong conclusion, if they guess the wrong person who's not the killer, then the killer gets to leave and everyone else dies.
Oh, really?
So every single time that someone murders, it's like, if we don't get this right, we're all gonna die. And the cool thing is, too, is you never have to kill. No one ever has to kill, but the pressure gets to all the students.
Yeah.
And they all have different reasons for cracking. They're given different motives. There's some twists and turns and adjustments Monokuma makes to the rules over the course of the game to keep things kind of interesting. And I wasn't sure if I was going to be interested in the premise because I didn't know what the premise was before going into it. I went into it completely blind. But it was an incredibly gripping visual novel. You just have to be ready for big sad. Because here's where the Persona thing comes in. The social sim aspect. It's not as emphasized as Persona. You don't get to have as much free time hanging out with other people as Persona. Mm-hmm. Let's make that clear. Yeah. But you still get time in between cases to hang out with other characters that you don't know may or may not die.
Yes.
So when you get attached to somebody and they die, or even worse, when there's a character you find is boring and they survive for the entire game, it's really sad. The game gets very gory, it gets very melodramatic.
Oh, wow.
The deaths are over the top.
Which I know there's like 4 games on the Switch. Which one did you play?
3 main games. I played the first 2.
Okay.
And what I have to say about I really don't have much to say about Danganronpa 2. It's a different setting. It's a whole new cast.
Okay.
And it's basically the same premise. Instead of being locked in that high school, there are students that, at least as far as they know, still attended that school until they get like parts of their memories wiped, so it's kind of unclear. But they go to like an island resort country, and then there's no way of leaving the island because Monokuma gets giant robot animals to defend all the exit.
This guy.
It's one of those.
He has some weird kinks.
And he's kind of. I think he does unironically get horny for despair. My memory might be hazy on that, but that may or may not be true.
Fucking Stalin reincarnated as a teddy bear.
It might as well be.
Jeez.
The one thing is, this is mild spoilers for Danganronpa 1. I'm not giving details, but I thought the ending was, I don't want to say disappointing, but I found that who ends up being the main antagonist, like, they're not horrible, but I think their motives are kind of
So would you say it's underwhelming?
Not so much underwhelming, it's that their motives are kind of like, it kind of works, kind of doesn't, but they're also a very obnoxious character. They just go on, and the thing is, the final case is, like, at that point, they've kind of already revealed themselves to be the main antagonist, but you still have to I didn't even explain that. The class trials, you present evidence that you find through investigation.
I assumed from when you mentioned Ace Attorney.
Objection.
Pretty much.
Same kind of thing in Ace Attorney 2, where like you go through their whole statements and try and pick out the wrong
contradictions,
and then you present your evidence and stuff. There's mini games thrown in too, and they're a little weird, but they don't take away from anything. Anyway, the last case, you kind of already know they're the antagonists. You just still have to work your way through with all the evidence, and that part's fun. But in between, the main antagonist just lore dumps on and on and on, and they are very obnoxious. Like, they're written to have an intentionally obnoxious personality, and like that might work for some people. Didn't quite work for me.
It's a fat guy, isn't it?
What?
It's a fat guy who has this lore dump, doesn't it?
Why are you presuming that it's a fat guy?
Because I've seen images of some of the characters, and I'm just picturing one character who would have this monologue, and I'm just imagining him just going on and on and on.
I mean, many characters go on and on, but it's not
my super secret plan.
I can't tell you.
I know. I'm just whatever.
Point is, it didn't ruin the ending for me. It's just that part kind of dragged on, and unfortunately, I felt the same thing about the second game. It's the same kind of issue where who ends up being the main antagonist drags on and on. But ultimately, very, very good kind of emotional, gripping visual novel. So if you like, especially all the ass pulls that they do in Ace Attorney to make bullshit make sense, but at the end you kind of go like, you know, for all this being bullshit, like, yeah, that makes sense. They do that a lot in this game.
Okay.
I don't know, just great music, great cast of characters. It's a good time. If you want to feel utter fucking despair, then I give Danganronpa an 8 out of 10.
Very nice.
Who next?
Is it my turn?
Yes.
Okay. So, we're still on...
Old game.
Old!
Okay. Let me see. What do I want to cover first?
I'm so scared.
Why are you scared?
Because what if he doesn't get it?
That's just funny to us.
No, I don't know. I don't know if it's funny to me.
Or I just have super old games. So I played Pac-Man for the first time.
Okay, too old. Too old.
And I gotta say, I get the hype. Nah,
I'm talking about games you played when you weren't a sperm cell.
That was released in like 1980 BC, before I was cum.
BC.
Yep, my day's ruined. There we go. We did it. We did it, boys. Pack it up, go home.
Alright, so here's a big one I want to get out of the way. Stardew Valley.
Okay.
Now, I know, Drew, you're pretty familiar with it. Ryan, what do you know about it exactly?
I really don't know much.
I know it's basically Animal Crossing.
Kind of, yeah. Do you want me to explain like the whole premise?
Well, I'm
basics
assuming
of it?
I'm assuming it's just farming.
Kind of, yeah. Basically, you end up in this farm, in this little town that's kind of run down stuff. You get to know the locals and all that. And there's this little corporation, I think it's called Jojo Co., where that you used to work for them and you hated it. You hated your life because of corporatism. Gotcha. They're trying to like kind of take over the town and like tear down this old dilapidated town center, like a community center, and build like a warehouse there. So there's different outcomes. You can either side with the villagers in the town and build up the resources and the money to rebuild the community center, or side with Jojo and build the warehouse. It depends.
Okay.
I have completed it. I did the good playthrough, which is you side with the community center. It took me a while. It took me. You can. I don't know if you could do it in one sitting. Really, it's gonna take you a few sittings, but it's not gonna take you that long. Honestly, I've gone through, I think, a full in-game year in one sitting. It's a few hours.
Okay.
And of course, there's seasons. But it's very relaxing. It's very chill. You can make your own little fields. You can make crops and then refine them into artisan goods. So, for example, you can grow wheat. You can build a mill and make that into flour.
Yeah.
And you can take that flour and say you have chickens and you get eggs from the chickens. You can make them into pancakes.
Yeah, it all comes around circular.
Yeah, like an Animal Crossing. You know how they have the recipes now for food. You can kind of do stuff like that, and you can make more refined goods to sell. It's very relaxing, stuff like that. You can upgrade your house. You can form relationships with the villagers. You can date them, marry them, that kind of thing. If you marry them, they can move in with you. So.
Yeah.
Chickens are flowers?
Yes, true. Okay, moving on.
I guess the feathers are kind of like petals.
Now go out and eat a raw chicken. Something how it tastes. Are you aware
Okay, moving on.
that it tastes like flowers?
What are you doing,
Ryan?
I think we've also both. I think we've both been speaking too quietly into our mic, which you wouldn't let me say until you were done with your very quiet monologue.
That's fine.
Okay.
I'm officially disturbed now. Anyways, moving on.
You weren't before?
Not to that level.
Okay.
There's also mining in the game. You can go into the mines, and there are like supernatural elements. There's ghosts. There's little monsters you have to beat back, and that's how you get minerals. There's a wizard. I haven't explored all the elements of it yet.
Sorry.
What now, Drew?
There's a lizard.
dangerous.
Wizard.
There's ghosts. There's rocks. There's lizard.
Wizard with a W.
Oh.
Yeah, you said a lizard.
That's human. It's just like one little salad.
Oh yeah, we're going to see the Lizard of Oz. Yeah, sure. It's just the Geico gecko
It's
with a lizard
dangerous
hat.
to go. Let them take this.
Bro, this game's got snakes! Whoa! Dude, it's like HD!
Dude, they have fucking amphibians and reptiles.
Bro, the frog just croaked. Oh! Dude, you bought the DLC for that? Yeah, man.
Yeah, I bought the pet fish.
DLC, the Scales and Mail expansion pass.
The Croaks and Critters DLC.
Jeez.
But yeah, it's a very nice game. It's a very cute game. Like I said, it's a nice game. Like if you come home from like a long day of work, it has that Animal Crossing sort of vibe and atmosphere.
Yeah, just like taking care of your.
Yeah, you just turn it on, farm and just kind of craft and just chillax.
So is it like? So I don't know if this is how it is with all Animal Crossing games. I'm thinking of Animal Crossing New Horizons, which I played the past few years, but like, there's a real time element to it. Do you not have that? And
no, not necessarily.
okay, that's probably why that would probably appeal more to others because
an in-day game lasts like 20 minutes.
yeah, because in Animal Crossing you are forced to on like certain days you have certain limited time events where it's like there's Bunny Day, there's Christmas themes and all this stuff. And you have like that limited time.
There's not that, but for the seasons, you can only grow certain crops in certain seasons.
No, yeah, that makes sense. But like again, another thing in Animal Crossing, but like you have control of that versus like you have more control of it than say like actually going around calendar.
Yeah. No, you can.
Okay.
There's more control over it, and of course, there's different types of fish and bugs you can collect. But again, they only come up in certain areas at certain times in the month or year or whatever. So it has a bit of realism and stuff like that to it, and again, more so like Animal Crossing.
Okay.
And the story's nice. Like I said, it's the villagers. They're nice. They're nice. There's like little holidays you can go to, relationships you can form.
Yeah.
Drew, you look bored as as fuck right now.
Can you plow a farm girl in
Yes, you
Stardew
can.
Valley? I will now buy your game.
I am actively dating a artsy redhead.
But not a real one.
I fucking wish.
Anyway.
Her name is Leia. She's very sweet. Just in case you're aware.
He's now looking it up.
Yeah, so you're looking
No, I'm
it up.
checking my email.
But so there's multiple girls. There's like Leia. She's like the.
What? You gotta call me out like that.
Leia's like the artsy outdoors nature lover who I picked.
Yeah.
There's I don't know all the names.
It's okay, Drew. We're all Sims here.
Shut the fuck up.
There's the nerdy science girl who loves astronomy. There's a church-going goody two-shoes who I fucking hate
Okay.
because she's a bitch. No, I'm kidding.
Oh my God. Don't hate on her. Hate on the church.
Don't hate on her. Hate the institution.
Yes, hate the institution. Just
There
let people be free.
is a purple-haired, basically emo girl.
Okay.
What?
That's more my speed.
Okay.
I never said that was my type. You don't know what my type is.
She likes minerals and eats rocks. Not literally, but
Okay.
yeah.
like the lizard, right?
Okay, getting off the waifu wars here.
The waifu was, and you can date guys.
Get
too,
back
if
to
you
your
want to.
game explanation.
I would a lizard. No, keep talking! Keep talking! Please!
You set yourself up for these things.
Just keep,
You need to learn.
keep talking about Harvest Moon, whatever.
I'm gonna put in like a picture. No, hold your fucking mouth. I'm gonna put in like a picture of like me and Will as like Mike and Jay looking at you, who's Rich Evans. I was just gonna fucking.
We all know I'm Jay!
That doesn't fit in this context, though. You outed your
The
fucking
context
self.
is your dick in
The
my mouth.
context is you fuck.
You need to learn, Drew.
I don't.
We
That's never been the context.
have established this many a time. You need to learn when to keep some thoughts in your fucking head.
Play with your nipples alone.
I'm not doing it!
You will soon, so shut up. Fucking albino monkey.
I'm not albino!
Shut up!
I can't get it easily. I have Italian blood.
I have the talking stick. Fuck.
It's more so a talking chord.
Fuck. Just say your shit.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's it.
Fuck. Pointing at Drew when I said
know.
that.
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Drew, what's next?
You're next.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
It is your go. I think.
My turn will not take much.
Okay.
I don't know if this is relevant, but like, I'm saving most of my more emotional games I played through last. My Hero One's Justice 2, which is the My Hero Academia game that came out a little while ago. Fucking boring. It fucking sucks. It was so easy to blast through everything in 4 hours, and it just was like
That's it.
it was
4 hours.
It's just fucking. It's just a fighting game. It's like they introduce all these intricacies and everything. And it's like, don't need to fucking do any of that. You just need to fucking punch.
Isn't that every Namkai Bandai developed anime fighting game though?
Yes. Which is, well, I had read up on it and said, oh, okay. So there's intricacies. There's differences, but it turns out you don't need to fucking use them. And so it's like, all these things, like, yeah, if you want to get competitive, could be, but like you have dominant strategy, which is just mash a button and win.
Sorry to interrupt, Ryan. Did you say Namkai Bandai?
Yes, you did.
Did I?
Yeah,
You did.
you did.
Oh my god.
It's fine. I thought you did it intentionally.
I thought you did too. I thought you did too as a joke, but I was like, wait a minute, no, you said that in too serious of a turn.
No, yeah, you definitely said that.
All right.
Okay. Took a small breather. Phone was dying, but back. So, that was basically, I mean, like, my Hero One's Justice 2, like, basic premises, it has more characters, it has more of everything, but it's like, it's still not enough. And there's just not enough going on, and I would love, like, a beat-em-up style, like a GTA-type cityscape where you have to go around, like, stopping bad guys from robbing banks or some shit. And they did that on a mobile game. And I'm like, just make that the fucking game. That's all you needed to do. It doesn't need to be, like, super high res or anything, and it's like, And you can play as more characters, I think, on the mobile game too. And it's like, what the fuck?
Now, just to get a good idea, how much did this game release for at launch?
What do you think?
Oh God.
$60. And they have, of course, because it's a high popular anime, they had like a deluxe version that came with all the future DLC. So I think it was like 80.
And how much did you pay for this game?
Like $5.
Oh, okay.
I'm about to say, because
No, I got it on a sale.
good, wise man, because
No, I've never.
that's a waste of $60.
No, whenever I buy a game that I'm not too sure of, I usually wait for a sale.
Hell, from the sounds of it, I'm pretty sure it's a waste of $5.
I mean, like, it was fun for a brief time, but like, so I guess I got my money's worth. But like,
you wouldn't come back to it.
No, I would not go back to it. So
Okay.
that is a not recommended for me. It's kind of fun if you force yourself. 2 stars.
2 stars. All right.
That's probably my lowest ranking ever.
Over to you, Drew.
What do I want to talk about next? Let's go with this is gonna be a little different from Danganronpa. Let's talk about Omori.
Okay.
I played Omori for the first time.
Heard a lot about it. Never actually seen it.
Yeah, me too.
So
I've seen the art, but
this game is unlike Danganronpa in that it's a visual novel that's very, 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 very sad.
Drew, I think we might have to have a talk after the show.
No, hold
we're
on.
gonna have a talk right now.
Yeah.
Because this game is crazy. I like going into, especially if it's like a narrative-driven game, like a visual novel or an RPG. I like going in completely 100% blind.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, you like mysteries,
Yeah.
which I can completely get. Like,
Yeah, no, I can see that too.
This game isn't so much, kind of. There's a mystery aspect to it that does run through the game. So the game starts. You wake up with your colorful, nice friends. They're all very nice and supportive, and you're just hanging out in this kind of like Technicolor, little kind of fantasy world. And then one of your nice little friends goes missing, and you go find him in the woods, and he's got black bleeding creepypasta eyes that he falls into a giant pit in the floor. He's talking about some cryptic shit, and then the real game starts.
I'm assuming you can't talk too much about the real game because that might be spoilers.
No, I can't talk about the story, but I do want to give, this isn't a joke, trigger warnings.
Oh, Lord.
Because
A lot of heavy themes.
The very heavy themes.
Yeah,
and I don't consider it spoilers because that first segment, dude, that's like if you're stretching it 30 minutes and then the game's real colors start showing themselves. But just in case anyone's extra sensitive and you go into Omori blind, there is a brief warning at the beginning, but there's specific triggers you might want to know about ahead of time. So I will do you all that kindness. First of all, the name Omori, the name of the protagonist boy, comes from hikikomori, which if you don't know is a Japanese term for basically a shut-in. It's someone who won't leave their house, usually because of a mental illness or trauma.
Like a hermit or something?
Kind of, yeah. You know, they stay in their houses, they're afraid to or reluctant to go outside, they probably don't take care of themselves hygienically.
Right.
Even if it's like friends or family, like they won't leave. And that's essentially what the game turns into is that beginning segment is Omori's headspace. The place of his imagination land is literally called headspace, and it's his friends are his memories, kind of cleaned up versions of what they used to be like before a traumatic incident that happened some time ago and split everyone apart.
Okay.
So the point of the game is you either choose to stay inside the house, and I'll get to that in a little bit, or you can like one of your friends knocks on the door after one of the nights that you like wake up out of headspace, and he offers to hang out outside even though it's been a long time. And if you hang out with him, you start the good ending route where you switch back and forth between reality, where you start learning more about what really happened to Omori and his friends in the past, and then going into headspace where even more pieces of the puzzle start getting put together.
Okay.
But some of the other trigger warnings include self-harm. Specifically, Omori stabs himself with a knife multiple times. One of the characters commits suicide, and it's a big plot point, as suicide tends to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
obviously Omori has some kind of mental illness. I don't think it's ever specifically said. It might be like just general PTSD.
Probably.
But
trauma, depression, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And there are also occasional jump scares in this game because it is partially a horror game. Now, as someone who is a scaredy piss, I shitted mine, can I sleep in your bed, big brother kind of guy. Yes, the jump scares scared me, but they're very easy to see coming. Like, the game gets immediately spooky to kind of like get your attention.
Yeah.
And then you can kind of tell when a jump scare is coming. You soak in the atmosphere, you walk around a bit, and then you'll see a jump scare, but like it's pretty easy to see coming every time.
Is it kind of like usually jump scares? Because usually jump scares happen when like the music gets really quiet and you're just like expecting it.
Yeah, usually the music gets really quiet
and
droned out.
See it coming.
Yeah.
And you're just like, okay, here it comes. Look away, got it.
Yeah. Even if you don't go out of your way for scary stuff, usually, like me, I think you'll be fine. Mm-hmm. And again, it's not the majority of the game. It's small parts of it that are horror, but the rest is like typical JRPG in a fantasy land, and then you switch to reality, which is like melancholy kind of.
Would you recommend this game?
Yes, absolutely, because the story is actually fantastic. I really got attached to the story, even if I can't relate to a lot of the mental illness stuff specifically. You don't need to have that kind of background to appreciate
probably
what the characters go through.
Probably a good thing.
I have heard a lot of people say a lot of good things about the game. I knew a few of the trigger warnings. I imagined self-harm.
Yeah.
So I mean, I get it. Yeah. As someone who has gone through their own form of depression, I get how that could be a trigger warning. But for a lot of people with problems like I do, sometimes, for me at least, I can separate the video game world from reality a lot of the time. So it's like, I like to be in certain worlds, but there are other worlds where I'm just kind of like a viewer. I'm just like I'm like reading a story. So
right.
So that's people like that. Please go for that game because it sounds really interesting.
Yeah, I've heard about it too from another friend of mine, and she says that it's quite good. But I think personally, it's probably another type of game I would be into. But I can definitely see why. Yeah. I definitely see why it'd be like compelling.
Yeah.
So
there is just one other thing I want to bring up. I mentioned before that there is a bad route where you playing as Omori willingly choose to ignore your friend knocking at the door. Like you go outside for the first time in years, and you just go back to bed, go back into headspace with your imaginary friends, and pretending to have good times. But I don't know. Usually, I feel like that kind of thing in the game would just be an excuse for like, but what is the bad? What if Omori didn't reach out to his friends? But I was delighted to see that I didn't play it, but I looked up some of it. I spoiled myself a little bit, but the bad route. Or the Hikikomori route actually gives you extra pieces of lore on like essentially, without spoiling it too much, it hints that headspace is not everything it seems to be, and there's a few extra personal details about the character's past that is hinted at.
Well, much like with Undertale.
Yeah,
when you do the genocidal
it's not like the
run,
same bosses, and you find
out a lot of lore that you would not have if you just played the pacifist route. So it's tragic if you're attached to those characters, but it's interesting to still kind of like understand the full lore.
Right. So it's not just everything goes wrong. It's like a legitimately cool take on the story. It gets more and more different as you progress.
Oh, I imagine. Yeah.
Where you do end up, I think, fighting most of the same bosses, but you get a lot of new ones too, and it doubles as a hard mode as well, which I think is really interesting. So
cool.
I will probably go back to that at some point and do a bad run. But what the fuck is that? Uh-oh. My friend just texted me, I'm gonna leave your gift in the basement. I thought you were gonna be at work today. That she doesn't know that my house has a basement. Mecca, what the fuck? Cool. Where were you when you all realized I was friends with the yandere? Anyway, Omori's fun. Just one quick little PSA. One of the characters, Kel, the resident goofball, his trademark drink, as many characters have in fiction, is Orange Joe. It is a soda that tastes like half coffee and half orange juice. Don't try it.
That sounds like war crimes.
Surprisingly, I didn't try it. Somehow, I actually had the right mind to resist the urge to try it. But I got dangerously close.
That sounds like war crimes.
I've looked it up and it's not good. Which, I guess that's a big surprise.
All right, over to me now.
Yes, it's your turn yet again.
Right. Well, speaking of war crimes, Sniper Elite 5. So, I take it you guys aren't familiar with the Sniper Elite series games by chance?
No.
Nope.
Sum them up. It's basically a game where you can shoot Hitler in the testicles.
Okay.
I'm not even kidding. Seriously.
That's fun.
So, it's a pretty straightforward standard game you play as this.
Ever wanted to shoot Hitler right in the junk?
That sounds like something you do in Wolfenstein.
It does. That does actually.
It does, yeah. But in this game, you can actually do it.
It's not Robo Hitler, right? It's real Hitler.
No, it's real Hitler.
Oh man, that's even better.
I know. And he has one ball.
How do you think Hitler would feel down in hell if he realized, like, man, they really don't stop talking about me?
Probably flattered, probably pissed off.
They'd be like, man, they really just keep bashing me every chance they get, and just.
So I'll come back to the killing Hitler thing in a minute because that's actually kind of compelling to the game. Anyway, so the whole premise of the story is while Drew tries to figure out what his yandere friend is up to.
I'm working on it.
Yeah, I don't even know what to say about that. But
yeah,
go on.
me neither.
It's fine.
So the whole premise is basically you play as this tough. It's basically a stereotypical tough, grizzled American, soldier, sniper guy, OSS operative, and you go into different parts and different maps to try and kill Nazis. Figure out what the kind of super weapon they're going to be is. There's not really a story. It's kind of a loose narrative. But for example,
it's kind of like a strategy game where you're trying to figure out where to go and not get killed, basically.
Kind of, yeah, the optimal route. So let me. I've played 3 entries, 3, 4, and 5, and they all take place in different areas. 3 is in North Africa, 4 is in Italy, and 5, the newest one, is in France. Now 4 is my favorite one personally, and give you a base of a loose base sort of idea as to what's going on. Basically, the Nazis are developing this sort of like a stereotypical sort of wonder weapon that will change the war and will kill everybody and stuff like that. And you progress through the story in different maps and locations, getting more hints and finding out more leads and people related to this project. You have to kill them off and steal the intel and a lot of that kind of stuff while evading being seen. It's based on stealth above all else. There are certain sections where you can hide, you can trick people into going into places and then killing them with your silent pistol. And it's not a run and gun game like Wolfenstein is. You can't run and gun, go guns ablazing. You have to be stealth.
So it's very stealth.
It's very stealth. And there's different difficulties, and I played on the harder ones recently, and it actually is a challenge too, because there are literally you can, especially if you're in an urban area or in a corner and there's 50 of them, but it's you're oh fuck, how am I gonna get out of here?
Yeah.
And they can't call in for reinforcements and stuff like that. You okay, Drew?
2 people are texting me at once while I'm trying to pay attention. I have not heard a single word you said. I wasn't trying. I'm sorry.
Okay. TLDR, you kill Nazis, don't die.
I mean, that's how it worked in real life, right?
Yeah.
That's what he likes.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be disrespectful.
No, I know.
A key part of the game, a key feature is the kill cam. So basically, depending on, it kind of is random, but you can actually set up to where it's almost like a common occurrence. Say if you scope, you have a guy in your sights, you pull the trigger, it has a slow motion replay of the bullet going through, and say if you hit him in the head, you'll see go through the head, pop one eye, keep going, pop the other eye, and then go out on the other side.
Okay, Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, no, seriously. Characters from Mortal Kombat look at that and go, "Oh, don't you think that's a bit much?" seriously, and it happens everywhere. There's different XP for shots. You can get eye, head, lungs, heart,
Jeez, man.
testicles. You will see it go through both balls and pop both.
Jeez, man.
We're dedicated to realism here.
Yeah, so it's
If your heart ain't beating, I ain't eating.
if his heart ain't beating, he's not eating. But yeah, and it's actually it's like there's even after putting 150 hours in, there's still a shot or two where I'm just like, ooh.
Yeah.
Jeez.
You like even I think that's gruesome. And there's booby traps. It's quite a fun game. It's quite a really good game. Another little cool tidbit too is that you have binoculars which you use to scout people, and it basically highlights them so you can see them from say the other side of the map and kind of track their movements for that way.
Yeah.
And if you keep highlighting them for a little bit, it'll say a little info. So say you have a soldier, it'll say his name and a little tidbit, a little trivia about him.
Okay,
so,
kind of like a processing info.
yeah, good, but some are kind of sad because you'll see Heinz Schruber lost both parents in the Dresden bombing. And I'm I don't want to kill you.
Dude, that's so cool.
But it's also really weird because it's how do they know this about these people? One of them was literally suffers from chronic flatulence. How do they know that? How does OSS know that? But it's kind of sad though, because I remember one guy in particular. I was on this map. And
hey, boss! We got all these files for all these deceased Nazi guys. What do you want to do? Make a video game.
Probably. I'm sure.
So much money.
I'm sure the game creators had a fun time thinking of that. And there are cool little historical trick bits, trivia, and references to some stuff. Was a Hitler Youth member. Oh, was part of the SA. It's stuff that me would appreciate. But anyways,
As our resident Nazi sympathizer.
Okay, Drew.
history buff. I want to clarify. History
Okay,
buff.
Drew, don't go that far.
Okay.
That's a bit far.
Anyways,
That's right. We don't want to, speak about
So-
our secrets. So.
No, we don't want to speak about lies.
continuing on.
And you get on me. So, don't fucking bother.
remember-
Oh, he's giving me the signal to play along.
Okay, so anyways,
I'll chuck shit at you.
in this one map in particular, I know there's still there's this little guy. There's this one Italian soldier who's kind of off to the side while I eliminated his entire squad. And he's just by a little house, by a little lake, reading a book. And I scoped him, and I saw his name, and it says keeps a photo of his daughter by his bedside. I'm like, oh, you know what? You get to live. Everyone else dies.
Well, his daughter might be ugly. I don't know.
Well, so...
Well, here's the thing too. Okay, building on that.
What?
Listen.
Speaking of ugly daughters.
Part of this game is you have collectibles. So say you kill someone and you loot their body.
You can collect his ugly daughter?
No,
I guess.
you get letters. You can get letters and stuff. So you can have officer reports, which are actually vital to the game for intelligence, and also because if you get them, it automatically highlights all guys of a section you haven't scouted yet. It's just a report list.
Yeah.
But you also have personal notes, so you can literally look through people's personal letters, to their family and stuff, saying oh, we hope you're doing okay. Your aunt was killed last week. Love, Dad. Something like that. It's very sad, sentimental stuff sometimes.
All right, who's shitting? Is that fucking you?
That's not me.
What?
Why does it smell like shit?
I don't smell anything.
I'm sorry, something smells like shit, and I was just like, what the fuck?
I don't smell anything. That shit you smell, that's fascism.
Oh.
Don't get
So
political
you're-
on me.
Hitler did fart a lot. Anyways.
Your retrospective on this war game is in 4D.
You could smell it.
The first
You can shit.
smell.
But
You
anyways,
can literally
so
shoot the shit
this
out
guy
of someone.
this guy mentioned who has the daughter. I snuck up and he had a note, and I took the note. I didn't kill him, but I took the note. I read it, and it's like a little 9-year-old girl writing to her dad, wishing for him to come home from the war.
Sad and depressing.
And I'm
You
just
move on soon.
And I read it, and I'm just like, oh.
Well, I could always talk about Amori again.
No, let's have fun times again.
And I was like, okay. And and since that, I have not killed that guy. And whenever I play that map, I make it a mission to not kill him. Seriously. And he's the only one that lives. That map has 200 plus people. Everyone else dies except him.
So, just final question: is this like an online game type
No,
thing too?
well, kind of.
Can it be online? I mean,
It can be. You can go up against other players online, and you can do cooperative, which is actually pretty cool because you have a guy that spots and a guy that shoots. I've done that with my friend a few times.
Okay.
But it's more based on a single player game. Anyways, to the fun stuff. Killing Hitler. So,
jeez, how much more of this shit?
now I'll be done in a sec. So the past few games, it was kind of more of a realistic setting. You know, you have to get the intel, figure out where he's going to be, where he's coming, and stuff like that. And in Sniper Elite 3, you had the chance of it being a body double. And you know how you could tell if it was a body double or not? If he has 2 balls, it's not Hitler. If he has 1 ball, it is Hitler.
The fuck?
So you're kind of encouraged to shoot in that general direction.
My God.
It's amazing. But anyways.
Or you can just make them all match.
Yeah.
I shot in that general direction with your mom last night. Yeah. I had to.
All right, Drew. Thanks for coming for the 5th time this week.
In Sniper Elite 5, they took the silliness factor up some. Actually, they kind of did it in 4 too. So in 4, he's at a submarine base, and you can like shoot the scaffolding off of a hanging submarine, and it will drop on his nuts, and it will kill him. And there's like a big giant Nazi stone eagle that you can drop on him too. You know, kind of goofy ways. In 5, they ratcheted it up to 11. You literally have the chance to. There's a bowling alley. He's like in a French villa. There's a bowling alley. You rig the bowling alley, the bowling pins with a mine. There's the cutscene. He picks up the bowling ball. He rolls it down, hits the mine, and a bowling pin goes up and hits him and impales him right in the head. So it's just, can you imagine being that German soldier? You just find your leader, who has been leading your country for like the past 10 years, dead with a bowling pin impaled in his cranium. But yeah,
return of the wrist.
It's like they turned up something crazy. But anyways, so back to 5 in particular. I don't really like it that much.
All this being said, I hate it.
That's like the game in general. That's kind of more towards 4. 4 is great. Like I said, in 5...
Why are you defining a whole series then?
Because these contexts.
Okay.
I had to educate you. In 5, I have like probably 5 or so hours in. I've completed the first mission.
We needed education on testicle destruction.
In 4, I've completed the whole game. I had like 150 hours in it. It's really good. In 5, I hate the UI. It sucks.
Ugly or uninformative?
It's like Hulu. It's like Hulu-ass menus. Wherever you look, it's tooltips. Tooltips here, tooltips there, mission markers, protocol markers. It's like, get out of my head! Seriously. And I just don't like how it handles. Get out of my head! Get out of my head, Hulu algorithms. And the gun customization, you can make obscene weapons with it, and I do not like it. What else? And the mechanics are kind of wonky too. Like, you can't hold certain weapons for so long, and what was that?
Nothing.
Don't worry
Drew,
about it.
what was it? Let me see.
Don't worry about it.
Give it to me.
Don't worry about it.
What the fuck?
It's from...
Ryan, you should read this.
What?
DJ Spit, Villains Wiki. Thank you, fandom.com. I wasn't sure if it's more alive.
My gosh.
Oh, God.
Basically,
I'm still listening.
I don't really like the mechanics. There are some interesting stuff, but I also think the art direction took a bit of a weird turn too. I don't know what they do with the graphics. It just looks odd. I don't like how the way it looks now. It just
Some
looks
games just
weird.
can't pull off certain art styles. So.
They aim for realism, which they always have, but I think 4 pulls it off much better, honestly. And I like the setting of Italy better than France too, because I'm highly Francophobic. Moving on.
Well, you're American, so you know.
Yeah,
it's
you know.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean the sniping's
You eat your freedom fries.
The sniping's still good overall, but I still prefer 4. So I have yet to impale Hitler with a bowling pin.
Whose turn is it?
I think it's you.
Yes, it's you.
Okay. So hold on, just really quick. Remind me of the order that we're doing right now.
You, me, him, you, me, him, you, me, him.
Oh, we have an even amount of.
For the old games,
Well,
yeah.
Will gets an extra turn because he's going to start and end it, but otherwise it's equal.
Yeah. Okay.
Because we have 7 and he has 8.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay. You know what? Continuing with my list of... Actually, I'll throw this in there. Kirby Triple Deluxe.
What?
That's the game. That's a game I played in 2023.
I did not read your list. I just counted.
That's fine.
But what did you think? I'm so excited. You finally played the 3DS games.
It was... I mean, it's like what we said about the Pokemon games, where it's like... Pokemon and Kirby are always going to be a 7 out of 10. They're always going to be good.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't ever get to that level where I'm just like, yeah, Kirby, and I'm just kind of like going through the motions. I'm like, okay, I'm going left to right. It's the typical thing to do in these games, and it's like, I enjoyed it a lot. And, just like Return to Dreamland, I definitely enjoyed that. What I just didn't enjoy was just that I knew what I was expecting.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, here's the gimmick, you use the gimmick. Perfect. It's like, I get it. And once you get that concept, though, you're just kind of like, this is it. We're not going up anywhere from here. We're just like, we'll extend this a little bit, but it's just kind of going to be this. And
right.
I enjoyed it a lot. That does not mean it is my favorite Kirby game. Obviously, I'm more of a 3D player anyway, but as a 2D game, this did not engage me as much as it did, as much as like a Hollow Knight would.
Oh, of course.
The story, while most Kirby stories fall into this category, it's just kind of like, okay, well, you kind of knew what to expect anyway.
You played the Triple Deluxe, or the DDD mode.
Yeah.
So big sad bug hours.
Yeah.
It is like Hollow Knight, and that it features big sad bug hours.
Yeah. Oh, I've got another game. I've got another game with big sad bug hours, but no, I liked Kirby Triple Deluxe. I think the thing that was kind of killer for me was that I did it all in one run. Not like one run, but I didn't have anything else to play to break up the gameplay.
Yeah.
So I just played it all right in a row, and I was just like, okay, this is this world, this is the next world, this is this next world. And it's like, you get it. You get what everything is, and you're like, I know what I'm expecting, I know what I'm to see. Right. It's like, and it becomes so predictable that you're just like, eh.
I don't think it helps that out of all the the four most recent Kirby 2D games, right? Return to Dreamland, Triple Deluxe, Planet Robot, Star Allies. I think Triple Deluxe has the worst gimmick because those Hypernova sections, they just go on forever and ever, and they're also the simplest. Yeah. What can you do? Well, you can inhale, you can walk back and forth, and that's it.
That's really it. And it's not very exciting. It's not very, the gameplay kind of comes to a halt, and you're just along for the ride at that point. You're just like, okay, well, it's like a roller coaster. It's like, okay, well, once this is done, you just continue. You don't have to utilize it to do anything special. Right. It's just kind of like, this is what needs to be done.
Which is why I want you to play Planet Robot the next time you have an itch you need to scratch for Kirby.
I
think it's basically Triple Deluxe, but with a better gimmick.
I do think I will probably buy that game this year.
Yeah.
If anything.
Because essentially the gimmick is your temporary super power-ups. I mean, they don't have as complex of movesets, but you do have to use your brain a little more, but they also really make you feel more powerful because you're in a mech, and each mech has different powers. Whereas Kirby sucking but bigger is it's like a big old tornado.
Nintendo's thing of being big.
Yeah,
it's
but
okay.
Again, that it's also drawn out. So you hold the B button and you're waiting, and the thing's going in, and it makes a face like, oh, I mean it.
Yeah,
it just doesn't fucking end.
Good to see that they've come back to the big fetish since 2015.
Well, no, this was an older game. This was a game pre-2023, and it's okay. 3DS, and
Man, I can't wait for Will to play fucking video games.
Nintendo games specifically.
I'm sorry.
There's a lot. Well, when did Triple Deluxe come out?
2013.
Oh, geez, so it has been.
Yeah.
It's been 11 years now. But basically 10. But I think that game was really trying to be what can we do with the the DS concept of like just going back and forth and doing all this shit. And it's like, or like the 3D concept, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I don't know, just not enough for me. But I enjoyed it as much as I enjoy any other Kirby 2D game. But it's like, it was the most plain that I think it could have been.
Yeah.
So.
And I guess you can say the same about Return to Dreamland too, which we'll kind of get into later.
I enjoy, just as a small anecdote, I think I enjoy Return to Dreamland a bit more because of just like it being on a bigger screen.
Yeah.
So just like that kind of helps it a little bit.
And there's also co-op if you want to do that too, so
Yeah.
you can always change it up. But it's not that Planet Robot is going to blow your mind or anything. It's just I think it ends up being more memorable
satisfying.
and entertaining. Yeah, I think some of the levels and bosses are a little more, I don't want to say original, but interesting. But you played half of them. Can't wait for these games to never get a console remaster ever. They might, I don't know. I think they run on the same engine as Return to Dreamland, so who knows? Maybe next system we'll get like a 2-pack or something.
I think it'd be interesting.
Or I get Monkey Pod and it's just Triple Deluxe and not Planet Robot, and then we just never get the game that everyone prefers.
So what do you have next?
What am I gonna do next? I'm gonna do fucking Hold on a second, I have to check something. Yeah, okay, I will save that for later. What are you doing with it?
No one can see that.
I know, but it's like.
To cut that shit out because I don't know what I'm fucking. In the editing thing, I'm gonna be like, what was I doing?
Do I want to get this out of the way? I do. There's a game that I have no idea how to talk about, so I'm going to sound like a crazy person even more than usual. Oh my god, I have so many notes. I'm gonna have to skim through these. But the next game I want to talk about is Tunic.
Okay.
You might remember this from, even though it's an indie game, it showed up in the major Nintendo Direct, I think.
Yes, it did.
The cute kind of isometric, vibrant game where you play as a fox that's not Link.
Yes. Not Link, the game.
Do you know the big, like, concept of this game, like the gimmick?
No, I can't remember it.
So, essentially, it plays like a retro kind of isometric adventure game. You have like a sword and a shield, and you go around in like caves and solve puzzles and stuff. And you're trying to solve the mystery of this island. But a couple minutes in, you find a page of something, and it's a page of the guidebook for the game.
Right, yes.
What?
Yes.
What kind of fourth wall breaking dimensional shit is this?
But it's, on the surface it's not quite as interesting, but one, you're given these pages in a non-linear order, and some of them you really have to hunt down. Like, it's not required to get the whole thing, as far as I remember. But also, especially early on, a lot of the stuff is in English or whatever language you're playing, but most of it is in a fictional language that you can't read. And it is decipherable. You will not be able to decipher it early on in the game. It's not, I don't even think it's ever even like mandatory to decipher the fictional language, but like you get a little more out of the game if you do that. If you want to find like all of the secrets, because fuck, this game has a lot of secret cryptic bullshit. As old games do, then you can absolutely go that far. If you want to get to like the true ending of the game, you have to engage in what is genuinely comparable to like ARG shit. It gets kind of crazy, but essentially, yeah, you're going through like this kind of nostalgic retro action adventure game, and all along the way you're getting these pages where not everything's in English. You'll get like just enough, like if it's explained the controls, it'll say like press B2 and then it'll show a picture of the fox kid with the sword, and you're like, okay, I innately know what that means. You press B, you swing a sword. There's a lot of stuff early on like that, but then later pages will be like, oh, you should go here now that you've beaten this boss. And it shows a picture of this place, and it'll be like, garden. And then it'll show like the bigger map, and it'll show you where it is on the map, and you go over there. Stuff like that.
So it's kind of like hinted guidebook where you're just kind of like, okay, well, now that's interesting to me. I want to go see what it's about.
Right. And so it just kind of like is kind of subtly as possible. It nudges you towards the right path. This game is often compared to either old Zelda games, which I kind of get because, like,
this is a bit more complicated.
You wear a green tunic and, like, you go around and you got a sword, but don't expect a Zelda game out of this. It doesn't really play like Zelda. That's a very kind of surface level assessment. I'm not going to say it's wrong. It's more like the general feel of retro adventure game, but don't expect like Zelda dungeons and Zelda puzzles playing this. You know, you get upgrades and stuff to expand your arsenal, but if anything, the combat is comparable to Dark Souls. That's the other comparison you'll hear a lot, because you have a dodge roll and a little bit of lag on some of your moves, and like your stamina meter regens and your health, even though you can upgrade it. You're always going to be a little low health-wise, and they don't give out potions for free.
Okay.
But that's kind of the upsetting thing about Tunic for me, is I did not vibe with the combat. I didn't like the Dark Souls style combat. I got through most of the game fine. It was difficult, but I didn't mind the difficulty.
Soul style gameplay, especially combat, is not for everyone. It's kind of a turn off for me as well.
I can't say if it's as difficult as a Souls-like, because I've never played Dark Souls or Nioh or Bloodborne or Elden Ring or Sekiro. So I can't compare it to anything like that, because I've never wanted to gravitate towards that kind of game because I just kind of knew it didn't look fun. But again, I go into games blind because I'm a fucking idiot, and I think it has some like deep artistic meaning when you go into a piece of media blind, and I'm usually wrong. But that's the fucking thing with Tunic, is this is where it gets weird. Everything sounds straightforward, so you might be thinking, well, why did you say you'd have a hard time explaining what you think about Tunic? And it's because I can only hope that you two or someone out there listening to this, all four of you in Chernobyl, will be able to relate to this, because it was a completely new feeling to me when I played Tunic. But there is something about the visuals, like the color palette, and like the kind of texturing on like I think it's cel shaded, like 3D models, the environment and stuff, the isometric angle that's kind of like dreamlike almost, and the soundtrack especially. It's like calming ambient electro synths with like occasional piano and strings. It's very kind of soothing, like intentionally nostalgic sounding, kind of thoughtful, creepy or tense when it needs to be, but very... God, this is gonna sound fucking dumb. It sounds kind of like the music I've heard when I'm getting a massage.
I mean, that's what they
like,
want
just
to play.
kind of like...
You could also say like the music
you're thinking about the universe.
Music that people typically fall asleep to. So
yeah, it's
kinda,
like a relaxing kind of music,
like meditation style.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, it is kind of like meditation. Yeah. Again, like ambient electro or electronic is probably the best way I can put it, but without playing the music for you guys right now, much less, actually listening to the soundtrack while you're playing the game, while you're exploring these really beautiful kind of old ruins, it's really hard to tell you guys how it made me feel, because something about the music and the visuals made me feel really personally, emotionally gripped and connected to the game.
Let me try. So, I closed my eyes just briefly, and I envisioned that world exactly how you're describing it with that music. And if I can say, it feels almost like, even though you know where you are, you feel home.
Yes.
And you feel home in a real sense of like, I have no stress to garner here. This is just like an area where I can be at peace, and this is an area where I can I'm not harmed here.
You can feel safe.
I can just walk in and be like,
kind of. That is definitely how it starts, but is quickly apparent that Tunic revolves around a mystery.
Yeah.
Even though the story is not given to you through many words in your own language, the visual imagery and the couple words you do get through the guidebook, it's clear that something here is wrong because you're the only living person on the island besides like the enemy mooks, you know, occasional bosses. Some of them are people, some of them are just like old robots, but you're like the only person here. So that soothing music combined with the dreamlike feel of the game and, you know, the weird music, you do feel like you're at home first. The way I was going to describe it was the music in particular, but the whole experience made me nostalgic for an experience I've never been through. And I've never had music make me feel that way.
would you say it's the feeling of being alone at a playground?
I don't know.
Because I get what you're saying, but I think
it's going to be a little different for everybody.
Exactly, which I think is actually kind of good because you can draw on it from a different experience. But like the thing that I'm kind of like leaning towards right now is that for me that feeling would be when I used to be alone at a playground and I would think like there are all these possibilities of things I could do. What do I want to do? What do I want to search for? What I want to do? And like, there's like mysteries of like, oh, I didn't think that this was how it looked under here. This is what it's like over here. Like what the view is right here.
Right. And
stuff like that.
I think if you played Tunic, it might make you feel that way. Like to me, less so the environments and the premise, but more so just the music and the feeling of not knowing exactly where to go reminded me of times when I was a kid that I was like emotionally vulnerable or like really deep in thought.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be a little different for everyone, but I think that's close enough that like I'm kind of relieved at least one of you while Will's looking up illegal pornography.
I was looking at the game.
See, look, he was doing research.
But like you really do just have to play this game to get it. But I can only hope that...
How much is it?
Like $15-20.
Oh, that's not bad.
The thing is that the Dark Souls combat, I didn't mind it at first, and that the game was way more difficult than I suspected. Like, that was fine.
Yeah.
You know, I do hate the Dark Souls, you know, you drop your loot with your ghost, and you have to go exactly back there if you want it system.
Okay.
Corpse running. I hate the corpse running thing because it means in a difficult game when I'm still getting the hang of things, I have to go
right back
to where it's most dangerous and I'm still learning things to get all my loot back. And it's not as big of a problem in a game like Hollow Knight where I, at least, when I play that game, even in my first playthrough, like, you are meant to be strapped for cash, but I knew how to grind money such that it wasn't as big of an issue. So I felt like in Hollow Knight, I always
felt it was always annoying.
It is still annoying, but eventually I got good enough where like I now have a choice. I don't need to go back for my soul, at least not right away, and I can get money first. But in this game, you, from what I remember at least, you're kind of tight on money. There's not a lot of upgrades with money, but like, you know, cash isn't raining out of the sky. Yeah. So the corpse running thing, and that I think the game is a little bit non-linear, but not very much. You can't, like, you still have to progress through big events in a certain order. So that's kind of like, but, you know, I got used to all of that. And I got used to the hard difficulty and the slow dodge roll and the stamina regen and shit and the low health. There are bosses, even just regular enemies, regular maps late game, where I was just getting filtered. And look, it's weird talking about this kind of thing because what people find difficult, what kinds of games people find difficult, what a person's limit is, are they going to keep going or quit or look up guides, it's all very individual, right?
Yeah.
But I was starting to actually hate the game because I felt like I'm just getting destroyed by these like random enemies and a really annoying map with a lot of hazards and like I love the vibe of this game. There's no other piece of media, there's no other album or film or real life experience I've ever had that makes me feel this emotional way. And I want to know why, and I want to get more of it. see everything the game has to offer, and I did. But I got to a point where I was like, okay, this game's too hard, I'm going to put it on easy mode. If I remember correctly, it's been like 6 months, the game only has 2 modes of difficulty. Regular, which is hard, and easy mode. But easy mode isn't easy, it's you are invincible and you cannot die.
Oh.
And I don't know if I can say it ruined the game for me, because it let me see the rest of the game, and whenever I was just exploring and dealing with regular enemies after that, I'd turn it off.
Yeah.
But it's like, what ruined the game for me more? That the end game bosses were annoying to begin with, and there's not more variety in the difficulty, or that the easy mode is an instant win thing.
Yeah.
So it made me feel really mixed on it, and
it's not a really great way to round out your game. Even in Kirby, you can still technically die.
It's not an easy mode; it's a cheating mode.
Right. But as negative an experience as I had with that, I still very much recommend this game. If anything I've said makes it sound interesting. If you like a game with adventure and like trying to solve a mystery, especially games where you don't know like what language is being spoken, and again, you're not required to, but you can decipher the like alphabet if you want. It is. I would recommend this game through and through. It's very unique, but I can only hope that there's, because Tunic got a lot of rewards when it came out. 2022? A lot of rewards, huge critical acclaim all across the board. I can only hope that now that it's 2024, within a couple years, we're gonna start seeing indie games come out as like a reaction to this, where it's the same concept. I'm not talking necessarily like the guidebook or the fictional language you can't understand.
Yeah, just gameplay wise.
Just the vibe, without Dark Souls combat and or hard difficulty.
I'm sure there'll be variations.
I think Tunic's popular enough that in the next 5 to 10 years we will see games inspired by it, and it'll become its own subgenre of like ethereal adventure, or like nostalgic mystery kind of thing. Because seriously, if I can't recommend this game enough. It's just a shame that I kind of left it on a sour note. But like, hey, once I became a horrible cheater and got over with those couple parts of the game, I explored the ending, and it was a little bit flat because of what I had gone through by that point, but it was still like the payoff was good.
Yeah.
I think, the mystery's not some like super grand conspiracy with a lot of detail, but like I think it's a good ending. There's an initial ending that's kind of sad, and then you can do a little more, explore a bit more of the world, and you get a more complete ending. Just good vibes. Tunic is vibes the game.
Okay. That's good.
Good.
And you play as a fox, so it's objectively a great game. And I guess that's it. So, has anyone seen my medication?
Well, what you got?
Not Drew's medication.
Shit.
So the thing is, with my list with the older games, I have a lot of VR games, but I figure I might leave them till last and just kind of rapid fire through them because they're fairly simple in process. I don't even have that many, and again, they're pretty similar.
What do you think about that?
You can do that.
I was about to say, yeah, I'm gonna leave those for till I come around next time. The last game I want to touch on is
it's
PC.
So you're gonna have like 2 more segments.
Counting
3?
this one, yeah. I mean, probably one more, because again, the VR ones I can kind of mesh into one because
If you want to.
they're relatively similar. I mean, it's gonna be that because if I
Might have all been short.
yeah,
And I ramble on like a fuck.
Both of you.
only
I'm gonna start doing the finger swing thing to be like, wrap it up, guys. I'm getting it. I got it.
only if we're talking about the games we are interested in, then we ramble.
No, I get it. I understand.
I mean, hey, if I had to sit here and explain Anno 1800, we would be here till fucking next October. Alright, so Victoria 3, Vicky 3. I believe I did mention this one on the last episode. It's sort of the economy, sort of grand strategy kind of game. You can pick a country in the map. You are in charge of it from 1830 something to around 1930.
I think you did mention this.
Yeah, I didn't do more on the details, just kind of what I wanted. It's very complicated. It is very complicated because...
Please summarize that.
So, you're the leader. You have a bunch of different technologies you can research, policies you can implement, do laws. Because, let's put a hypothetical situation. Say you're in charge of America. You're the president. Congratulations.
Mm-hmm. You
have slavery. Women can't vote. You have child labor. No healthcare. No police.
As God intended.
My gosh. Don't be downplaying my...
Bob Dole! Good night, everybody.
Don't be so harsh on the J-Man like that.
And,
You didn't want that.
And perhaps, you're like, okay, I have my agenda. I want to end slavery. I want to increase living standards. I want to, give women the right to vote. Mm-hmm. Well, if you try to end slavery in 1830, you're gonna advance the Civil War by 30 years.
Fair enough.
Because people will get mad. I played out in Australia once, and I tried to pass universal education. I got to a fucking civil war over it.
Wait, I do like pissing people off for no reason. Maybe I could end slavery. I'll sleep on it.
Because
While they sleep on wood.
All the population, they all have their past, who they side with, political beliefs, and et cetera, et cetera. And if you try to move stuff and push progressive policies too fast on them, they're not going to like it. Which is kind of similar to how it was back then, but that's kind of what you want to do to make, I got big change, I want to have them now. But it's like, well, no, you have to go through the process, you have to make sure people are cool with it, you have to make sure you have enough votes for it, et cetera, et cetera. Not only that, but you have living standards to worry about. Because basically, in 1830 America, everyone's poor. Like, the living standards down here. So you have to increase trade, increase production. The more goods people have, and the more easily accessible they have, the more they'll rise in wealth.
Excuse me.
Could have warned me about that one.
I'm sorry.
It's fine.
My throat didn't warn me.
Oh, okay.
You can improve healthcare, for example,
Yeah!
Drew's dying of consumption right in front of us.
Consumption?
Yeah, that's what they call it, I forget what it was.
I'm consuming your knowledge.
I don't know. But yeah, it's very complicated. You have the economy to maintain. You have, of course, foreign policy and stuff like that. So, if you can't pass slavery, just go to war with Mexico. That always works.
How included is this game? Like, does it include, basically, the whole world?
Yes.
Okay.
The entire world from countries that,
So it's a 100-year Civ game.
Kind of. Just much more in-depth and much more complicated.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and it doesn't have eternal leaders that live forever.
Yeah.
Praise Roosevelt. But yeah, it's very complicated. It's way more. It's reminiscent of Anno in certain ways, like the music directly, the art style, the ambiance. It's reminiscent of that, and especially the production chains and trade. Okay. But it's way more complicated. And I have yet to even really dip my toes into it because every time I do, no matter what I do, my people hate me, and it's like I'm trying to improve your lives. Yeah. I'm trying to make people happy, and I keep getting revolts and stuff, and I just want to end slavery, man.
That's interesting.
It's very complicated, but I think hopefully with more time I put in, I'll get the hang of it. It's just really overwhelming, especially coming from nothing.
Well, at the very least, it's very interesting.
It is very interesting, yeah. So, more of the story, I guess.
If you try to end slavery, look out!
Don't end it too fast.
I wasn't sure I was going to.
Take 30 years and a civil war.
What was that?
Me stretching my arm out and it cracked right at the elbow.
Oh, cool.
What were you gonna say, Drew?
Something about maybe ending slavery.
Maybe.
I mean, enough of you guys like how.
Oh my god.
If we get,
remember to like, comment, and subscribe.
If we get 200 subs, I'll free one.
I'll free once.
Oh my
For every one life, we will free one slave.
Oh my god, this is gonna get fucking...
It's like a Mr. Beast challenge.
Every night,
Oh no.
he has a chance.
Yes. Oh,
And people are like, what about the white people? Like, oh, they're included.
Mr. Beast's dark path. Hey guys, for every view we get, we're gonna free one slave.
Hey, where are you guys all going?
Oh my gosh.
If this one doesn't get us canceled, nothing will.
Well, speaking of slavery, Ryan's next game.
Oh,
God, what? What the fuck do you mean?
12 Years a Slave, the video game.
So I have one on here that I'm just gonna blast through really quick just to get to another one because I haven't fully completed it. Skullgirl's Second Encore.
Oh, okay.
I didn't really play the story mode of that game, so I haven't really had much to do with it, but I did play the tutorial, which, by the way, that game's tutorial is like the best tutorial fighting game you could ever get. It makes sure that you are ready for any fighting game. It makes sure that you know back steps and play your like defenses right, playing your attacks right, and it's very like engaging and as the tutorials go on, and it's like it makes sure that you have to pull off 3 consecutive like perfect like defense from like someone attacking a flurry of different attacks that you have to predict where they're going, and it's just like like you try so hard and you're like, I still can't do it, and I'm just like, gosh man, but it's very in depth, and so like I would recommend that for anyone starting to get into like fighting game territory, because on easy it's not like the hardest thing in the world, but like it is very engaging both tutorial wise and story mode wise. I did watch my friend play one of the story modes all the way through, and they were very it's voice acted and there's a lot of interesting characters, and
Yeah.
it's really fun, and I can't hate on it. I really do enjoy it. So
I did also at one point try the Skullgirls tutorial because yes, it was on sale in the summer. But I gotta say, the handful of times in my life I've been asked, well, why do you stick with Smash Brothers? Why don't you play a real fighting game? Well, I can't speak for the others, but Skullgirls was the first one I tried, and rather than 2 attack buttons with the combination of directions and no moves that only appear at the end of the combo, Skullgirls has 6 attack buttons. Light, medium, and heavy, punches and kicks, and they are all separate actual buttons on your controller.
Jesus.
Yep.
And then, of course, in traditional fighting game fashion, you do also have moves exclusive to the ends of combos or specific inputs. Quarter circle, fuck my ass finger, B, 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 A. And I love me some titty.
but there's a limit. There's a limit to my patience.
The barrier to entry for titty has never been so high.
What's this game called again?
Skullgirls?
Skullgirls Second Encore. But that was really all I had to say on the game. But other than that, I love its art style and everything. I love just the look of the game in general. But do you mind if I move on to a different game?
Go for it.
Okay.
Wait. Favorite character? This is the titty game. We have to do this.
God damn, you were
Gosh,
fine.
why can't I remember? Oh, Misfortune.
Okay, I can see it. I'm a squiggly man myself.
Okay. Second favorite is probably Peacock.
We do not have the same taste.
Only because my friend woke me up to how cool of a character she is.
Only because she's 13.
Oh.
This is... Man, I ruin everything I touch.
Yeah. So...
Including...
today's biggest loser.
Jesus.
Right.
So... that was Skullgirls, but the second one... this could take a very different direction.
I'm ready.
I'm about to get ranty.
Okay.
Bug Fables. The Everlasting Sapling.
Are you the sapling?
No. Bug Fables is definitely sad bug hours. But it's also extremely fun bug hours.
You play the little bee girl. How can it be sad? Nothing bad has ever happened to a bee.
First of all, the bee movie, I can think of that being one thing.
He wins the case.
My point is,
He wants to fuck a human.
Hey,
If he does, he'll.
do I kink shame you?
so
I'm not saying it's a kink shame. I'm just saying it's biologically, it's not gonna work.
I can't fuck a human?
someone save me from this. So
Why am I the only person here that likes human girls? What?
you guys are fucking crazy. So
Moon Fables, the everlasting cringe.
Bug Fables is so much like. Hey Drew, do you like the original Paper Mario and Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door?
I've never played them, but they look fun.
Do you hate common Paper Mario nowadays?
Yes.
You'll love this game. Do you like Hollow Knight?
Yeah.
You'll love this game. Do you like having fun and a good story?
Does this game have Bapanada equivalent?
Kinda, yeah.
I will now buy your
This game has
Pitch.
this game like. let me put it this way. At the end of the year, Nintendo has they calculate up how many hours you spent on each game.
Oh, is that where this is going?
Oh no.
I spent 50 hours in this game.
Well, it's an RPG, so, you know,
Yeah.
makes sense.
I spent 50. Keep in mind,
Uh-huh.
I did almost every side quest because I loved, because they all have such unique dialogue and they're all very much characters that you root for. Every single one of them has been through a trial, and every single one of them you watch them grow, and you just like you help a guy who has amnesia, who has no idea what the fuck is going on, but he has this weird power, and then you're just kind of doing jobs to make money, and it's just like, oh well, now we're on this weird quest, or we're just helping out. And the combat is so simple that this is gonna make no sense. The combat is so simple, it gets complicated because the way you fight enemies changes. Like one of your characters is a little green like beetle who has a horn, and when he hits people with it, it does a lot of damage because he's strong beetle, and like it kind of has that piercing power. But you can also flip enemies. The bee has flying attacks as well as stinger attacks, so she's also got a sharp thing. One of your other guys is a blue moth who has an ice projectile. Ooh. And he can use it to lurch underground and like kind of get people, and as well as give them an environmental damage, or elemental damage is also what I mean. But those abilities only grow as you play the game. And as you're playing the game, your enemies start to grow as well. Some people get stronger and come back, and they're like, we want another shot at you. Like, hey, we're not going to be bested this time. We're out for blood. We're out to claim that we're the best, you know. And it's a real big, like, story-driven world where they're just like, hey, we want to make our mark. And it's not even about, like, making a mark. It's about so many different things, like, so many different side quests of, like, it's like a Lord of the Rings style adventure where you're just like, we gotta do this thing to save this person, or we want to do this thing because we gotta come back for them, right? Or we gotta do this thing. You're being pulled in so many different directions because all these people have such character to them that they're not like how you describe like Bafanada lady, like what she really is just the guy's wife.
Right. She's just a shopkeeper. That's kind of it.
Everyone has so much character that I can't, like, I want to play this game again. And I played it only a year ago, and it's like, I want to spend another 50 hours in it, because it's just like, being in that world, there's just so much going on, lore-wise, just like, encapsulating-wise, and like, you don't really even think about the paper aspect of the whole thing because it's like Paper Mario. Have you seen the Paper Mario games, Will?
I have, yes.
That's how it's designed, but it's like that never really hinders your experience.
Yeah, it's not like literal paper or book or anything.
Yeah, they don't. It's not like Nintendo where it's like, oh, we're all made of paper. It's like, no, they never call attention to that. It's just the aesthetic, and it fits the game like I never would have thought it fit.
Yeah.
And so there's like all these intricacies to like. Because obviously it's bugs, and so it's like, oh, well, there's the hive for the bees, and so they're worker bees, so they have like a factory that you have to go into, and it has all these intricacies and all these other things, and there's just weird shit everywhere that I just can't recommend this game enough to people who want to not only explore, but to be in like a different kind of world where you're just like...
It's really immersive in detail.
Yeah, it's like... Even though like a lot of the textures are like super simple too, like oh, it's just a yellow wall for the factory. It's like
right, but that's where suspension of disbelief comes in. And
it really like
you get immersed by
you don't mind it.
You get immersed by the story, the actual environment.
The story pulls you in enough to be like, hey, I'm rooting for these guys.
And like it, the world feels real.
This was the only 2D game I've ever played that had a Breath of the Wild moment, where as much as I explored every single fucking place, randomly I just bump into like a new town. Oh. Like I was like, where the fuck was this? And I was just like, no one told me to come here. No one. I just found it.
Dude, who put this town here? It's like optional.
Yeah, like
cool.
And like they give you like missions to do, and it's just like, oh sweet, I can do more stuff. And these guys also have their little things where they're like, hey, we'll give you extra badges if you accomplish some missions for us, like deliver this thing or help with this person or something. It's just like, I don't know, it's just very, very nice to just be able to do that. And like, it has a lot of the Paper Mario intricacies where sometimes if you get the jump on enemies before they get to you, you don't even have to go through the stage play to do anything. You can just be like, okay, I got you.
Yeah, that's always nice.
Yeah, so there definitely is like a whole... It's also really good level scaling. Okay. Because you're never like too high a level for your next challenge. You're always going to be some form of underleveled unless you're really, really grinding.
Right, but like, if you do like a little bit, you're not going to cheese the game.
Yeah.
Good.
If you do a little bit, like, because there were some areas where I was like, oh, I want that treasure back there, but I had to go through a couple enemies to get it. Even though I went through like 5 different enemies, I wasn't too over leveled for the next area. I was still very challenged, and there was like a point really early in the game where I was just like, I died. I was like, that doesn't usually happen in those games. Usually I explore so much I'm far over leveled, but it's like, no, I absolutely just bit the dust, and there was a lot of different shit that went on. So I was just like, hey, I cannot recommend this game enough. Bug Fables is absolutely a killer game.
I have to ask a very dumb question, but just to be clear, the combat is like Paper Mario, where it's asking you to time button presses, right? Or like charge attacks by holding something down or like moving.
Yeah, it does that. It does that.
Okay, I thought so. I couldn't quite remember because I haven't seen much footage of this game. But
even like final battle wise, you're still doing that shit.
Yeah, it's an inherent part of the combat every time you take a turn.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're doing a charge attack like that, yes.
Right.
So,
I wonder if I'm gonna play it this year because, as we all know, the 1,000 Year Door remake's also coming out.
Yes.
I haven't even got it. Dude, I think I said in a previous episode maybe that like, dude, my RPG remake and WarioWare Move It are both coming out at the end of this year. I did not play either. I will probably get around to them one day. WarioWare for sure, but
I think I definitely want to get to Pikmin 4 before I do much else. But anyway.
Oh, we'll get to Pikmin 4. I will tell you about that game.
I'm surprised. I really summed that up. I did not go as ranty as I thought I would. But no, because it's just like.
No, I think you went into just the right amount of detail.
Yeah,
I'm ready to try it out.
It's. If anything else, I can definitely say like. You are rewarded for doing side quests in this game by like more emotional moments with your characters. Like to where I always wish that like side quests would lead to more emotional. Usually it's just like, oh, it's an in-game reward.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you got a badge.
You got me 2 bear asses. Here's a stamina potion.
Yeah, it's like that's not okay.
Yeah.
Okay. No, like with this one, like you're repairing like certain relationships with characters. You're just like you're helping one. Someone dropped a something, but you're
Oh, you just killed an enemy. That's the money drop.
Oh shit.
You
Got 82 gold.
So, but like, you're repairing like one guy's like pride halfway through this game, and like, it's never really like, unless you do a side quest, you never really know if he's gonna feel better. And it's just like, so many of the characters like seem normal until you like meet them and see what they're truly about further. So I love story, I love characters, and I even looked up like something I typically do because I like to see how other people draw the characters. I look up fan art, and like I was really disappointed. I was like, there's not too much fan art of these characters, and they're like, I get it, they're simple concepts, a bee, like a moth and stuff, but it's like they're so cool. Like I wish that like I could do something with these characters to make them appeal more, but they're really good characters. So that's. If anything else, if you want good characters and good motivation, play this game.
Here's everything I know about Bug Fables. The bee is cute. I will now play your game.
She's also extremely a tsundere. And she's, you know what? Not even a tsundere. She's just a straight up asshole at times.
Oh, so she's literally me.
She's literally just like, do we really have to help this guy?
Sold.
She's just.
I will now buy my game. I've always wanted to be a bee girl.
All right. Over to you, Drew.
Yeah.
Kind of wondering what you're gonna say next.
Yeah. How many games do? Excuse me. How many?
I think
games
he has
do
the
you guys
most right now out of all
have
of
left
us.
exactly. That you want to mention?
I have 4 more turns.
I have 2.
Okay.
I mean, if I put all my VR ones together, I have 1. But I mean, I guess I can do 2 parts. We'll see.
Or if you want, you can just do 2 right now.
Yeah, and they go together anyway because
2 right now. He does his VR games. I say mine.
And then I do the last 2. That actually works out perfectly.
You do your last 2, and then I take one last one because I have one.
more.
And then we'll come back to newer games.
Because, correct me if I'm wrong, one of yours is Persona 5, right?
Yes, and I'm waiting for you.
That's one of mine,
to talk about
too.
before I talk about it.
Yeah. So.
Here, pause it for a sec.
Okay, just a sec. I was about to say, I can cut it out, it's fine.
Her name's V, right? V-I?
Mm-hmm. VI.
5. Her name's 5.
Pretty much.
Well, I
6.
said VI 6. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I thought you hated Frenchies.
The
No.
green...
Well, I do.
The green,
She's so cute. She's so cute. She's a cute little
Aw.
bee. And now that I know she's an asshole, I will absolutely play this game.
a lot of her, like, imagine, like, see her eyes? A lot of them, sometimes they're just like this. Like, really? Like, we have to keep doing work.
Relatable. I thought I relate to would be.
Kabu is the normal nice guy who's like, of course we'll do whatever you need. He's like the Captain America. He's like, of course we'll do whatever we need to do to be
She
good.
has a beamerang.
Yep.
I will now play this.
Yo, that's some sick fan art.
Oh yeah, I forgot she has the projectile.
That's some sick one right there.
Oh, I like that. That's good. Fucking Kabu fan art. He is a... Like, see, I knew fan art could make these guys look good. Because they look, like, just silly in this game. No, they look silly, but it's, like,
Cute.
appropriately silly.
They're cute. All right, go ahead, Drew.
Yes, it's your turn.
Lay
Oh,
one
we're
on us.
recording again. Okay.
Yes.
So this is the part of the podcast where you'll want to tune out because it's time for me to talk about Sonic games.
You know, I'm actually,
All right,
I'm
make it
actually
comfy.
extremely invested.
Yeah, good job.
Okay, thank goodness there was nothing in there.
Yeah.
Well, see,
You done with that?
would
Yeah.
be invested.
Make it comfy.
You would be invested, but I'm talking about classic Sonic.
Dude, trash right there.
No, there's a recycle bin right behind you.
Oh.
Just right overhead behind you. Thank you.
Speaking of the
It's fine. It's fine.
Speaking of the recycle bin, let's talk about Sonic Origins! We did it, boys! Segway of the year, it's only January 2nd.
We just get comfy here.
Wait, Sonic
Oh.
Origins?
Yeah.
What about Superstars?
That's a new game, you fucking idiot.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Oh yeah, 2023.
I don't know why I was expecting Superstars, but
I mean, okay, so Origins did get an update called Origins Plus in 2023, and normally that would be enough for me to lump it into the new games, right? You know, like if we played a DLC expansion or something. But Sonic Origins is a compilation of old games and plus adds a few modes and more old games.
Okay.
So it's not like the Breath of the Wild expansion pass or anything, right?
I'm invested in this now. I will be willing to hear this.
Oh, you really shouldn't be.
I love hearing Sonic fuck up, so please go ahead.
Well, okay, that's the thing, right? Well, okay. There's a lot of stuff to talk about, I guess, surprisingly, because I'm a stupid nerd who likes old things. I was also going to talk about Sonic 2, 3, and CD, because I beat those games for the first time, like, you know, Final Boss, for the first time this year, because I'm a fake fan. So I guess I'll talk about those first, and then I'll get into what Origins changes about these games.
Okay.
I will try not to make this too long-winded.
Okay. If I start going like spinning my finger,
You might do that very soon, I don't know.
we'll see. We'll see.
But the TLDR on Sonic 1 is Sonic 1 is a really cool concept about a platform all the way back in 1991 on the Genesis. You know, supposedly more powerful than the Super Nintendo, right?
Genesis does.
Your mom.
Thank you for shooting me. My mom next!
Oh my God.
Take a number away, sweetie. Take a number away.
Gotta go raw! What? Sonic 1 had this really cool concept where you'd go fast through these stages, and then you do in Green Hill Zone, and then in, like, 2 out of the next 5 stages after that, you kind of go fast, and then in the other 3, you just don't at all. And it goes back and forth, because, you know, it can't even just be like, oh, I'll play the first half of this game.
When I tried playing Sonic 1, I did not like it.
Yeah, it's kind of and I don't know if you'd like the other classic games, but I can tell you that they are better. Everyone talks about Sonic 2 and Sonic 3 are the best platforms of all time. I'm not saying that much. I'm just saying, like, they are of a surprisingly good quality for their age, I think. And there's a lot to like about them, especially if you just like older games and they're like aesthetic and stuff. Like, I really like the Genesis sound chip and shit.
Okay.
And I like the classic Sonic aesthetic. I feel like Sonic's kind of lost that, which I'm actually going to talk about a little bit further on. But let's start with Sonic 2. It might sound weird that I've never beaten these games until this year. We'll get into it in the Origins portion, but Sonic 2 and Sonic 3 and Sonic CD all filtered me near the end with their final bosses. Not so much CD. Like, I couldn't beat them.
Oh, okay.
That's a gamer speak, you know.
Gotcha.
But Sonic 2 takes what Sonic 1 wanted to go for its whole game, and pretty much does it for its whole game. It expands on what I think really makes Sonic work is one that you just feel really good to control. Sonic feels like a living pinball. It's amazing to me that for such an old game, the feeling of momentum feels so natural. Not that it's realistic, but like you really feel the build-up of speed and, you know, the acceleration, the jump physics and how variable they are. It's not as kind of plain as Mario's kind of stiff feeling jump from back then. Sonic really feels alive, and there's a lot of player expression, especially when the levels are so intricately designed. Again, that's another difference from Mario's. Like, usually there's like one path. You might be able to jump on these blocks and go above this enemy, but like, it's one path. Sonic levels from the beginning, even back in Sonic 1, for the most part, are multi-tiered. There's typically like 3 or 4 tiers, and the bottom one is like if you fall down or you get hit or something, you get sent down there. You deal with more hazards, you go through more slowly, it's like a punishment. Because the game rewards replayability, you get better at the game, you get to the higher paths, which are more difficult to reach, but they reward you with like more rings and speed up power-ups and just clearing the stage faster. And I've always found that to be, I don't know, the levels are fun to explore. I feel like I never know how a level is completely mapped out, even after playing it like 10 times. Not that they're mazes, but just there's a lot of little stuff you might miss. And even if it's not like big secrets or anything, you know, crazy, it makes the world feel kind of alive. and very immersive.
Okay.
But Sonic 2 also introduced the spin dash, which I think a lot of people forget. Sonic 1, you can roll into a ball down a hill, but you can't instantly rev up. In Sonic 1, you have to earn your speed finding a hill or loop. And that would be great if more levels than just the first fucking one allowed you to do that. Sonic 2, every level lets you do that. Even the slower pace levels that focus more on like difficult platforming, if you get really good at it and memorize the level design, you can get through it better. And even then, Sonic 2 started something that's still with Sonic to this day, where the level will reward you with speed, even if you're not that great at it, to keep you kind of invested and make you feel like you're not just going through a slog. But if you want to go even faster without getting hit, do a cleaner run, that's where the game wants you to replay it. And I've always wanted to replay it because I've always thought the game was enjoyable.
Okay.
Sonic 3 is pretty much even better. Sonic 2 refined what Sonic 1 did and was a bigger game. And I think Sonic 3 succeeds. But the reason I prefer Sonic 3 is, one, when you play as Tails, you can actually fucking fly. For some reason in Sonic 2, like, if you're playing as Sonic and you have Tails as your friend, he might, like, get killed off screen and then they'll fly back.
Yep.
If you play as Tails, you can't fly. And I don't get it. In Sonic 3, he can fly and he can swim. You get Knuckles, who can glide and climb walls. Knock, knock, it's Knuckles. That's my guy. And Sonic gets to use elemental shield power-ups. Like, every character can use them, but with Sonic, they alter his jump. So, like, for every character, the bubble shield lets you breathe underwater indefinitely. But for Sonic, he gets a bounce. You know, stuff like that. But the reason I prefer Sonic 3 over Sonic 2 is because, one, it's a longer game. Some people don't like that. I do. But also, you know, all these games have their levels that aren't that great or a little frustrating. Sonic 2 for me is a very front-loaded game where, like, the first 6 levels are really fun, fast or slow, you know, or in between. They're all very enjoyable. And then the last 3 levels are where enemy placement arguably gets a little more dickish. The hazards are more plentiful, you know, obviously games getting harder. And it's not horrible, but it's like, this doesn't feel like the first 2/3 of the game. And it's accentuated by the fact that the final boss, it's 2 bosses in a row, and you are given no rings. And remember, these games don't have, like, difficulty options. So, like, unless you use debug mode and turn to a ring box and give yourself more rings, you have to beat these final bosses without getting hit. That's why Sonic 2 filtered me. And there's no checkpoint in between the 2 bosses either. If you die the second one, you gotta do the first all over again. And I don't fucking get it, because the entire game, you're not expected to do anything in a one-hit run. Sonic's ring system is so forgiving in the first place. You're expected to get hit a lot, but not because the game's uber difficult, it's because it's encouraging replayability. So it doesn't want you to die a million times the first run through level. You're probably going to go through most of these levels on your first try without dying. It's just to be forgiving. So why the final bosses are like, nope, everything changes right now for the last 5 minutes. It's very weird. Sonic 3 does not do that. The final boss, you are given rings, at least if you're able to hold on to them from the previous level that comes right before, which, like, that feels like more of a compromise. Yeah. It also helps that the final bosses are just nowhere near as difficult. Like, they're kind of hard. They'll challenge you, but they're not. I'm not going to call Sonic 2's final bosses bullshit, but they're just more difficult. And then you have Sonic CD. It came out between 2 and 3, but CD is the odd one out of these 4 games, so it feels weird to talk about it in the middle. Sonic CD, I think, is actually my favorite out of the classic Sonic games, but a lot of people don't like it because, you know, I think we've all seen what a Sonic game is, right? You know, it plays like, you know, you have like a multi-tiered level and you just kind of blast straight through, try not to get hit, go for a fast time. CD, if you play Sonic CD like a normal Sonic game, with that kind of mindset, like, okay, just keep going forward. You're basically just going right the whole time, just trying to find like the paths that'll get you there to the end the fastest. You're gonna beat Sonic CD in half an hour, which may or may not even be an exaggeration. Like an hour or less, you just blast through, because the levels are about just as long as a regular Sonic level horizontally, but also horizontally, just like going through right, there's not really a lot stopping you from just jumping over enemies. The hazards are less complex or difficult in general. Sonic CD is not about getting to the end, it's about fucking time travel. It's really weird. So there's the levels horizontally, again, about the same length as other Sonic games, but vertically, they're tall, they're huge, they're almost like labyrinths. And you're trying to go through, and this is just going to sound stupid. It was 1993, just deal with it. So, you're trying to find time posts, like signposts, that'll say past or future. And you want to touch a signpost, and then you'll start glowing when you're running. And you want to find parts of the level where you will be able to go fast for like 5 or 10 seconds without interruption. So like you might find a place where it's just like a pit with 2 springs where you'll just go boing 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 boing, something like that, or a long stretch where you don't really have to jump much or anything and you can just kind of go through. You want to look for places like that so you can stay at full speed without losing momentum at all. You do that long enough, and then you fucking time travel, and you go to a completely different version of the beautiful stage you're already in, and you go to like the prehistoric past where like there's all these fully fleshed out ruins, or you go to the bad future where Eggman's fucked up everything. You're going either to the past to destroy Eggman's robot generators, or you can actually forego the time travel system if you want. If you don't like the approach to the game's level design, because, again, it doesn't play like a Sonic game. You're basically just looking around for the thing you need to progress. And there's usually more than one answer, but, like, the game doesn't really give you hints of where the stuff is. You just kind of have to look. So a lot of people think the game's frustrating or boring, and I can get that. But I've always liked exploring the levels at a slow pace my first time through anyway. I will just sometimes pop in like Sonic 2 or 3 and do that for fun. So I was ready to jive with Sonic CD to begin with. If you don't want to go through the levels like that and time travel, you can collect 50 rings, go to the end of the stage and do a special stage. So you don't have to worry about all that shit, and you basically just play a mini game to save the future in an alternative way. And both are equally valid.
Okay.
But, if you don't go for either of those things, you're not going to get a lot out of Sonic CD. That's why it's considered the odd one out. But CD, being on the Sega CD instead of the Genesis, it has, like, the intro and ending cutscenes, they're all, like, hand-drawn. They just look like nice, clean, classic anime. A lot of visual flair. Because it's on the Sega CD, there's CD quality audio, and I love chiptune stuff. I love the Genesis sound chip, but these songs are killer, and the game just has this very 90s vibe. CD feels like a game that could only have been made in the 90s, and
it absolutely takes advantage of that.
It really takes advantage of that, because the soundtrack is all like, there's like a lot of pop and a lot of like ambient electronic and some like hip hop in there, some R&B. It really feels of its time, and it, like most Sonic games, it's very vibrant, and the way the world looks is just very kind of fictional and dreamlike. It looks like a weird fantasy land with all these geometric shapes for the art style. Just good stuff. And CD goes harder on that aesthetic more than any other Sonic game, even the classic ones.
I like how you had to literally go up to 88 miles an hour in order to time travel in that game.
It was the style of the time. And also, Metal Sonic is cool as fuck. And also, Amy's cute as fuck. Even back then when she had the weird green dress. I like her more. I like her when you couldn't look up her skirt in 3D. Sonic Adventure, I like for a lot of reasons, but that's not one of the reasons.
Next, though.
That'll keep you off the list.
And now I can talk about Origins, which won't take very long.
I'm still listening, just a sec.
Oh, sure thing.
I'm just doing something in the background.
Oh, okay. So like, all right.
Yeah, just continue.
So the whole TLDR on Sonic Origins is when the game came out, a lot of people were not happy with the quality and basically thought that one or two older Sonic compilations were of a higher quality. And the truth with Origins is that that's kind of true and it kind of isn't true. My big reason for getting Origins was I love classic Sonic, but like there's an older compilation, Mega Collection, which came out on like GameCube and PS2 and Xbox back then. And back then, you played through these classic Sonic games in standard 4:3 ratio. But because these games are trial and error, even if they're not super difficult, especially when you're playing Sonic for the very first time, and that was my first time playing classic Sonic, it feels a little more unforgiving. And most notably, when you are going at full speed even, the camera never pans back. Sonic's always in the center of the screen, which is why classic Sonic is a bit of a turnoff.
Yes.
I got way more into classic Sonic in the early 2010s when Sonic 1 and 2 got mobile phone ports that introduced widescreen, and I don't know why they're relegated to the phone, but CD got ports to the phone and Steam, 360, and PSN. So I got to play Sonic CD in glorious widescreen, and that really got me hooked on classic Sonic. And now Origins has the widescreen versions of 1, 2, and CD, and they finally made a widescreen version of 3. For some reason, it never got a mobile port or any kind of remaster like that, but now it's here, and it's great. That's all I wanted from a new classic Sonic collection, was just give me these games in widescreen. I don't need any of the Game Gear shit that no one fucking cares about. Just give me those. Maybe let me play as Knuckles and Sonic CD. Never been able to do that before, and we're good. I mostly got what I wanted. I got the classic games in widescreen. Couldn't play as Knuckles and CD, but like, you know, I can play Sonic and Tails. I can play as Knuckles and all the others. The games are just as I remember them in widescreen.
Yep.
That's what I care about. A lot of people don't like that the bonus content doesn't have as much as Mega Collection, where you could look at comics, or like Sonic Jam on the Saturn, where you could look at like old commercials or trivia. I don't give a fuck. And a lot of people argue Origins should have had that anyway because it was a $50 collection. Yes, the price is steep. I can't argue with that. But I was willing to pay $50 for these games I really like to be in widescreen on a console I own and not something older and not my phone. And I got what I wanted, so I'm not as picky with Origins as other people are. Plus, a year later, added Amy into every game, Knuckles into CD finally, and added Game Gear games. Amy's fun, and it helped me beat Sonic 2 and Sonic 3.
Something I wanted to say, just as a quick aside, a game is... A lot of people always have this like debate with prices for games, and I really want to sum up what you just said there. A game is priced at whatever you're willing to pay for it.
Indeed it is.
If it's on sale, which all games eventually will be, you know, in time.
Yeah.
Most games will eventually have some sort of sale or some sort of thing where it's like, trade in for this game.
Yeah.
Something like that. Then that is how you will know if you want the game. But like when I heard that Tears of the Kingdom was $70, I immediately thought, okay.
Yeah, I thought the same thing too.
I was like, I'm still getting this game. I did like 100 definitely would have been like a steep price if that were a thing, but like I don't know, I still might have.
Yeah, but it wasn't 100. That's the whole point, is it was 70, you know?
Yeah, it's like it's a little bit more, but like that's exactly what I expect from a little bit more than Breath of the Wild. Like it's a little bit more, but it's not a steep price because I just get to be in that world again. That's what I want. And for you, what you wanted was widescreen. You wanted widescreen games that aren't on phones.
I just wanted 4 old man games in widescreen, and I was willing to pay $50. I'm not arguing that it's not a steep price. It is a steep price, especially for the lack of bonus content. But I found a product that finally gave me what I wanted, and I bought it because it was worth that value to me. I completely, though, understand people saying the game should not have been as much as it was. Even with Plus, it does, you get one new character, which is cool. And for the record, again, Amy was never playable in those games.
Yeah.
Completely new moveset. Really cool. They did not have to do that, but they did, and it was really appreciated. And then Game Gear games, which no one cares about, for like an extra $5, which is still ultimately the compilation is a steep price, but I got what I wanted.
Yeah.
A lot of people complain there's a couple various bugs that were in older versions, but one that's going to happen with emulation. Whether you build it from the ground up or not, it's just an inevitability.
Yeah.
No game is going to play exactly the same when it's emulated, no matter how good the system is you're playing on.
Yep.
And I never encountered those glitches, so I can't speak to how bad they are. I've heard that some are kind of bad. They've been fixed over time, most of them, in patches, but even by initial release, I never had an issue. So, I'll hate Sonic later when we talk about Superstars, but Origins, I seem to be the only one that was like, yeah, okay.
All right. I think you have 2, right?
Well, that was 2 Origins, and then just those things.
Oh, okay.
And my last 2 will come later.
Okay, so
should I just go through my VR games then?
yeah, go for it.
So let me see.
Keep in mind, my experience with VR is very limited. I was in a
gulag.
They had this weird room at
They only had Meta VR.
There was this store at across from the theater that me and Drew used to work at. They had briefly opened this store that was like a game store type thing, where it's like you could play VR games in a room, like book a session or something. And me and my friend Anthony did that, and it was really weird.
Do you remember what you played?
I tried Beat Saber.
Yes.
Classic.
I got completely disoriented by Spider-Man. I received...
Oh, that sounds like pain.
And I experienced vertigo at Spider-Man 2.
Oh, Lord.
Which is looking down from a building being like, oh god, I'm dead. And... I played a few others, but I can't remember those ones. But,
So...
yeah, I did play Beat Saber, and it was interesting, but it wasn't for me. VR is just not my type of thing. It's just very hard.
I got my headset from a friend of mine in Texas that I've known for a while now. He was selling it because he got a newer one. Very nice guy, and I got it for a good price. I was like, screw it. I've been interested in VR for a while,
Yeah, if you're interested, why not?
Yeah, and it was, I got it for a decent price.
It doesn't is it just hook up to a PC?
Yeah. All I needed was just a connector, and boom, I'm in. So,
okay.
And it works well. I have no problems with it pretty much whatsoever. So the games I have are hot dogs, horseshoes, and hand grenades.
Good start. Question mark.
Onward, Pavlov, and VTOL. So.
What are those?
Well, let me branch them first off. I'll start with VTOL because that's kind of the more unique one. So.
How do you spell it?
VTOL, VR. Okay. It's a flight sim, basically.
Okay.
So VTOL's an acronym for vertical takeoff and landing.
Okay.
And my friend, who is a pilot in real life, a chopper pilot now.
Oh, wow.
He's always into aircraft sim, Microsoft Flight Sims, that kind of stuff.
Gotcha.
He got me into this game. I was like, I'll give it a try. Maybe I'm not really into flight sims on PCs, but maybe VR, maybe it'll be more immersive. Maybe I can get behind it. And oh my god.
Is it too immersive?
Well, it's not really... It's immersive, but not necessarily in the way that you could think. The graphics are very simplified to kind of, how Microsoft Flight Sim is very realistic looking. It's not like that. It's very, simplified. Stylized. Yeah, it's still very fun, though. But, if I'm sitting in a chair and we're flying upside down, I'm going to know. It's going to be freaking weird. If I look up and I see the ground, that's not going to be okay.
Right.
So it took me a while to get used.
That Spider-Man moment for me.
It took me a while to get used to that, and of course there's the controls. I didn't fly anything. I was what was basically the weapons operator, the gunner.
Okay.
So my friend had to teach me all that stuff, and I've kind of gotten used to it. I don't really play it that much because again I'm not super into flight sims.
What did you think of it overall?
It was fun. It's really cool. It's fun. Again, it's a bit. You have to kind of get used to it at first. you have to get what I call your VR legs in. You know, there's C legs.
Yeah.
You need VR legs.
Yeah, just to be able to get used to that.
If you go into that blind, you might have some issues. You might get motion sickness or vertigo or something. I personally didn't have any problems. It was just more so of experiencing that for the first time.
One thing I will say,
I'm upside down.
One thing I will say, just to maybe give Drew some context, have you ever played a VR game, Drew?
Once at a Dave & Buster's, I played a Star Wars VR game where you fight with two lightsabers. And I have to say, I don't remember the shop you were talking about, the stand or whatever. I don't know if it was the mall or what.
It was briefly
or like
there.
a truck, but if either of you know a place around here that'll do that, please let me know, because the VR game was fun, even if it kicked my ass, but I did not like having a helmet on in a public space around other people, because it's not in a room or a booth. This fucking Star Wars game is right in the middle of an entire arcade, and like nothing happened, but like, especially me being paranoid and neurotic, I'm like, someone's going to take my wallet or grope my tit. And you
get self-conscious.
Maybe.
And like the game went on for like 6 or 7 minutes, and I'm like, fucking come on, where's Darth Vader?
maybe next time I come over, I'll bring my setup, my computer and stuff, and I'll let you guys try it.
I'd have to clear a big space.
We need to clear space.
It's gonna fuck my ass.
Well, that's the thing too, is that I also, because I had Anthony with me, I'll just say this really quick. That store was not there very long, maybe like a year.
Evidently.
And like, yeah, it was not popular. It was at like, it used to be where the subway was.
Oh, really?
Yes.
It's probably like
the
a
subway
pop-up
got
or
kicked
something.
out, and that guy.
That's right. There's not been anything there for a while.
It could have been like a pop-up that just didn't last for long, or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He had quite a few PC items and everything, but no. When I played VR, just to kind of give you the feeling of like how it felt to be vertically challenged in that area, because I don't know how your gaming experience was, but for me,
well, Star Wars, you were just standing in one spot, so.
Okay.
Oh, you couldn't move?
Yeah.
Very different.
Yeah, that's...
When I was Spider-Man, I was every fucking way. And it scared me. It was bad. And like, Anthony was right there being like, don't worry, you're still fine, you're still on the ground, you're still there. Because like...
I'm hanging off the fucking Empire State Building.
Because you're standing there and you're just like... You're doing these motions like climbing a building,
right, you're
and then
moving
you're
your
like,
arms, you're turning.
yeah, and then you get up, and then you like look around, and you're like, holy shit, I'm actually moving, and my head is holy fuck, and you're just looking down like, fuck it, and they don't render the ground, so what it is it's a plain white like cloud surface.
No!
So you look
it's
like
the void.
Yeah, and you're like, if I jump, it's over.
It's the opening to the afterlife beckoning you in.
Yes.
That really does sound like a horrible.
Oh no!
It sounds great for like your 30th one.
Yeah. But I was like, Spider-Man. I know Spider-Man.
Yeah.
It was so.
Oh no!
I did get slightly used to it after a little while, but like,
again with VR, it exposure, especially if you have like slight motion sickness and vertigo. Exposure is the key factor. I'm thankful to where I didn't really have that at all. Really, when I first got in. I can wear my glasses in my headset. Okay. It's actually big enough to where I can actually wear my glasses. I did have a bit of a fogging problem, but I just fixed that with like anti-fog wipes. It's very easy.
Just breathe less.
Breathe less.
God. All right. So what's I have? Oh yeah. Okay. So HH3 or H3, PAV, and Onward. They're all shooting games, more or less. Now, Hot Dogs, Horseshoes, and Hand Grenades. It's more so. It's a weird name. It's more so a gun range. It's like a gun simulator. It's not necessarily like
a campaign,
like a shooting range.
Yeah, it's kind of more oriented to that, where it's like PAV and Onward. There's more so it's multiplayer aspect or AI, where you can actually shoot AI or other players. Hot Dogs, Horseshoes, and Hand Grenades is more so the gun experience. It's very realistic in how they operate and stuff. You have to
load it.
Each one's load differently, they handle different, whatever and stuff. It's very interesting. It's very cool just to mess around with too. I've messed around with it quite a lot. It's very a fun game. I showed it to my dad, and we're like into guns and we go hunting and whatnot.
Yeah.
And he actually got a few kicks out of it. He thought it was pretty neat.
That's cool.
Oh, you play as Hot Dogs.
You can shoot hot dogs too. That's why it's called hot dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, this sounds cartoony.
I know.
Yeah.
I
was thinking of that too.
They're giant sausages that come after. It's like SpongeBob's nightmare, except you replace Krabby Patties with sausages.
Yeah, the title made me imagine that at least the visual style is like totally accurate battle simulator.
Yeah.
No,
But
not really.
Tabs.
Yeah.
Tabs is interesting, but yeah, it's a weird name, but it's a good game overall. It's just a gun simulator mainly, but excuse me. Pav and Onward are different. I'll start with Pavlov first. Pavlov is basically IRL PTSD simulator.
Cool.
So
I have enough of that in real life.
yeah. So I played it with my friends a lot. It's quite fun, especially the World War II era maps. And, you know, say there's different modes and stuff that you can play. There's one where you have a monster and a hunter. And the guy that plays as the monster can scale walls. They can run really fast. They can jump from above. It can be kind of scary sometimes if you don't know where they are.
Nice.
So yeah, that's always shite inducing. But the main games, it can be pretty gory. Like, say if you have a shotgun, you can blow someone's head off.
Jeez.
And like you will see, like if you sit on someone's chest, you can see the rib cage. Their body will disintegrate if you shoot it a lot.
Jeez.
It's very gory and stuff like that.
But you like the more realistic experience, don't you?
I kind of do, yeah. I kind of do.
Call the police.
I remember.
You know what? I can say that, but it's like I know there are people who are into that more real factor and don't like the cartoony aspect, where they're just like, that's not real war. Like,
Yeah.
it's like they don't want to be in real war, but they're like, they want a bit of that realism.
Yeah,
of like,
I distinctly remember I was playing with my friends, and he was already down. I had a shotgun. I went up to his body, and I shot at his head, and it blew up. And I literally said out loud, "Oh my god, I shot your head! Oh my god, your head exploded!" And my mom heard that, and she was like, "Well." And she came over, and since it broadcast to my computer screen, she saw it too. And it's like, why'd you do that? I'm like, I just wanted to see what happened. It's just like, well, don't do that.
No
She's
TV
already
for
dead.
1 hour.
No TV for 1 hour.
And apologize.
But it's a very fun
and then
game.
you'll blow up.
The mortal coil. Good time.
It's a very fun game, though. The guns feel good. It's kind of arcadey. It's definitely Pav and Onward are much more arcadey than H3,
Right.
And how the guns feel and stuff. But it's a very fun game. Onward is similar to that. It's just not as gory. If you shoot them, they just fall, really.
Yeah.
But it's still fun. It still has its little aspects. Of the two, I prefer Pav just because it kind of handles better. Although it takes fucking 5 hours to load. Pretty much, it takes a while to load because it's a more demanding game graphically.
Yeah.
But it's still pretty fun. You know, they're more multiplayer based, so you want to play with like a group of friends or in a server and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They're just first-person shooter games, but they're both pretty fun in their own way. And I think that is it. Yep, that's all I have for older games. I just have my last new one.
Pause it.
I'm sorry. Maybe I probably could have just left this in too. But talk about the game that doesn't start with P last, because I think this conversation will flow better given what we both have to talk about. Talk about the one that starts with M.
Okay.
First.
I was about to say, like, that doesn't start
The one that starts with
last,
M.
and I was like, what? Something about that confused me. No, I was going to do that. I was going to do, So I actually ran into a conundrum. I just thought, maybe there's another game I played this year that I didn't actually write on this list. And I think I forgot that I played it this year, but
What is it?
Twilight Princess.
Oh! You played Majora's Mask and Twilight Princess.
Yes, I think I did.
Majora's Mask too.
Yes, I played Majora's Mask for the first time.
Isn't that like the much darker one? Isn't that where just he's dead, Link's dead?
No. It's far different.
Well,
I'll
okay.
explain it. I'll explain a little bit of it.
Real quick. So, my last two games are Persona 5 and Persona 4, which I want to talk about in that order.
Okay.
But I was interested in you talking about Persona 5 first, but that would also mean you're going to be talking about these three games straight through.
Which I can do, but I mean, that's up to you.
Only if you're okay with it.
I'm fine with it.
All right.
So, I can kind of summarize Zelda games pretty easily. I don't need to go into too many intricate details, but what I will say is this. Majora's Mask is absolutely what it's been held up as. It's been the creepier Zelda, it's been the much more emotional Zelda game too. Like there's a lot more like relationships going on, and like the relationship between life and death is a lot more like, I mean, Will, because you're new, this is how the function of this game goes. You enter a land that you're unfamiliar with. This is not Hyrule, this is Termina.
Okay.
And it's no acronym for anything, but it's just Termina. And someone gets their hands on something very powerful that they shouldn't. They're very obnoxious. They don't know what they're doing. But it's not you. And with that, an evil power controls them. And now they want to bring the moon down on the fucking earth and destroy all life.
It sounds like the Zelda game that I wouldn't let date my daughter.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. You better not be hanging out with that Majora boy. Shut up, Dad. He's cool. But let me just describe a bit of how this game lays out itself. So you collect masks in these games, and the masks give you powers.
Okay.
Wing Tap gives you like a faster run, like you run breezier. Bunny Hood does that. The winged one, I think, like just.
I think you float off of ledges, like
like you get a bit more,
chicken, right?
Something like that. And there's one that's an eagle that's like more commanding, like you command a certain. There's ones that are like used for specific side quests that really don't do much outside of those side quests. Then there's a few where they're just literal corpses. You just become them, and they're dead. You get their face, you put their face on, then a little thing goes, and then you become them.
What the fuck?
But then you become a cool fish person. You can swim.
Yeah, you can swim in the water. It's really cool, and you got like little fin tacks. Like
you just filleted a corpse.
No, you didn't do anything to the corpse. They were dead. They died. You did not do anything.
How did they die?
They die in front of you, often in horrific ways. At least once. He literally like, I can't go on. He dies, and then you instantly get like you got the mask. It was such a shift.
What was this? What was this game rated?
E for everyone.
What bullshit?
E10?
I think it was E10. Yeah.
Hold on, I gotta look this up.
Just to be, I'm sure you're probably getting to it, but just to be clear, he doesn't know about the big gimmick of this game, right?
I don't think
2,000. Holy crap.
Yeah.
I will get to that though.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, E for everyone, 10 and up. God.
So yeah, that happened. Also, there's another factor. You have 3 days to beat the game.
In-game games or IRL?
In-game.
In-game.
Why 3 days?
So you have 3 days, but let me word this to you.
Is the fucking rapture gonna happen?
You have 3 in-game days to beat the game. Time will continue to flow. Now you can do various things to slow down or even freeze the stop of time for a little bit. If you play a certain melody backwards, it helps to slow time going down. But you always have a counter at the bottom of your screen telling you on the 3rd day, the moon's gonna crash into the fucking into like the fucking world and end everyone. And if you let that thing run out, which you can do, you get a horrific scene of everyone fucking dead.
And just to be clear, because I don't think he knows what the moon looks like.
Oh yeah, the moon is horrific. It looks like this.
Is it not just... Is it not just the real moon? Not just like
no,
a
it's
normal
not.
moon?
It's got a scary face on it for no reason.
And it's always looking down
For
at you.
no reason.
What the fuck?
The entire game, I don't know if it's in every location, but at least in the central town, it's just facing down, looking at you whenever you stare up in the sky, and it's getting closer, very closer.
Yeah, as you watch the time tick by, it gets closer.
What fucking Dementor at Nintendo greenlighted this?
Koizumi.
Jesus fuck.
And he's beautiful. And it fucking...
He is pretty based.
So
Did he just go, all right, boys, we don't torment children enough?
So the way the game works, though, is very interesting in the sense that, like, certain things will only happen on specific times of day for the 3 days. So you can even win the lottery. You can literally go and get a lottery ticket, place your betting numbers, and on the third day, it'll be like, oh, here, we're now handing out the prizes for the lottery. It's this. Oh, you didn't win. Well, now you know what the numbers are.
You can go back in time.
You can go back in time, win, and get the thing. So there's stuff like that where you experience something sometimes on the third day, go back to the first day, teach it to someone, you can save someone. A lot of this game, though, is about redeeming people's failures and mistakes and giving people, like, their second chances. There's literally a thing where if you get certain fish eggs to a place, they will live. If you don't, they will die. And you need to do that in order for them to literally teach you a melody. Zelda games revolve around music a lot for some reason. But they teach you a melody, and then you just fuck them. You can't do that quest and then the temple that follows all in one day. So you just have to come back and be like, all right, I saved you. Peace.
Good fucking luck.
Yep. And a lot of shit happens in this game where you're just like, what the fuck is happening? Like, but it's all interesting and fascinating. Like, a lot of this game was basically made on the no pun to be, but like on the corpse and bones of Ocarina of Time. So a lot of like reused characters from that game, like where you're just like, you were a main boss and now you're just talking to me, and it's like, yeah we're just hanging out.
It's meant to make Termina feel like an uncanny mirror version of Hyrule. It's
like a dream world.
Is the world like dark and scary and
not overly, but it's got melodramatic.
It just has melodramatic themes, is what it has. Yeah, very atmospheric, very much a different feel from like Hyrule's adventuring, and it's like this one's a lot more like, okay, it's adventuring, but there's more heavier themes.
Yeah, like Ocarina of Time isn't all fun and games too. Like that's got like a lot of dark elements to its story. It's pretty serious, but I don't think it focuses as much on the grounded kind of humanistic sadness.
Yeah, like to where Drew's games about big sad boy hours, this is multiple people's stories of big sad boy hours, where you're basically going around helping everyone get their happy ending.
Okay.
And so, like, for instance, there's this one person whose dad has been mummified, and like it's like an infection almost, weirdly, like they
like a zombie virus.
Yeah, something like that. And the only way to fix him is with like this song called the Song of Healing. And even getting into that house is a pain because you have to do something for that. So like during the whole course, you're like spending 3 days doing this. You're spending 3 days to do that part to get into another part that will take 3 days. So you're kind of like mapping out your whole situation. But like during that whole process, you heal 2 people to get to another place. Like the daughter has to kind of like grow up and defend the father, and it's really like, I'm gonna spoil this one because this one's kind of like the one that's kind of sad, like really sad, but like she's forced to grow up. Like she's a little tiny girl, and like this is a new asset they created for this game. It was not in the original build, but like when her dad gets like zombie mummified type thing, she has like a little journal on her desk saying like, dad keeps mumbling weird words and everything, and like I don't understand, and like he won't get out of his closet, he just won't do it, and every time I do he tries to hurt anyone that's not me, and like I have to bring him food and water every day, and it's like I've never thought of this before, and it's like you're witnessing like this girl grow up.
Jesus.
And like when he finally comes back, he's like, oh, hey sweetie, what happened? And all she says is like, you were sick, Dad. You were just sick.
Oh,
like God. she's so relieved to have him back, and like,
oh man,
it's like a growing up ceremony.
And you have to worry about the moon fucking face sitting on the earth all this time.
Not even that. There's a literal.
I don't think that's what face sitting means, but like,
it's a good way of putting it, I guess. But like, let me put it this way: at one point, there's 2 sisters. The older sister knows that the end is coming.
And the younger one doesn't.
And the younger one doesn't. She's just like, what are we going to do tomorrow? Well, you know what she does? You know what she does, doesn't you?
I don't. What is this?
She gets her younger sister drunk. So she doesn't have to experience the pain.
Oh my god. Jesus Christ.
She's like, how about you have some of the Chateau Romani that we make here at the ranch? She's like, I thought I had to be a big girl to drink that. Well, I think now's the time. And then it even, like, cryptically, she turns to you and says, see you tomorrow. ...
How the fuck is this a Nintendo game?
This is what a lot of people like about, like, Majora's Mask, where it's like, it's a lot of stories that you can unravel and figure out, and just like, and I played it for the first time this year, and I will say some of the dungeons are a really big pain in the ass, because trying to figure it out when you have this timer can be a pain. Thankfully, there's only 4, so it's not that bad. But if you do everything, you get what's called the Fierce Deities Mask, which is basically Demon Mask, and you topple the enemy like it's fucking nothing. And it's just it's got so many intricacies to it that I cannot recommend this game enough.
Can we talk about Persona now?
No, not yet.
Sadly, we have one more slightly less sad boy hours.
Okay.
But it's
Why
okay.
so many sad boy games?
Midna own a hole.
You think I'm twisted with all these shooter games and shit like that? Fucking.
I never said that.
Exploding Hitler's ball sack.
Midna own a hole.
So, Twilight Princess kind of has what a lot of the games do in other Zelda games. It's kind of like different versions of the world. Like Link to the Past is like past world versus future world. Ocarina of Time is like the past and future. It's a lot of past and future shit. But like Twilight Princess has a lot more themes of like people like experiencing like dark turns and like becoming monsters type things, and you have to kind of go around helping them with that. The difference with that though is that they took a different style with the art direction, and so a lot of them look way like not like scary, but like
Uncanny?
just more like
Unsettling?
Unsettling is a better word. Like
Okay.
someone that's it's not scary. You're not scared to play it, but you're just like, oh, I got chills like just looking at this enemy, just like
Let's say,
how grotesque they are.
reminds me of another horror game I know. Remind me, I'll tell you guys about it later.
Yeah, but
No, we're not letting you talk about Gex.
It's not Gex!
oh my gosh.
It's a horror game for you, not for me. That's a lifestyle
but,
for me.
No, but during Twilight Princess, you have your companion, Midna. And this is the only Zelda game that really focuses on the relationship with your companion, I feel. And that's what it should be when you have a companion.
Yeah.
And you get really connected to that companion when you realize, like, oh shit, like, shit's about to go down and they're gonna get, like, hurt. And, like, your companion doesn't, like, fight with you, per se, because they constantly are, like, in your shadow.
Yeah, she just bosses you around.
Drew's
You're a
dream.
dog.
Yeah, you're a wolf.
Drew, wipe the drool off, honey.
No, not yet. Let me just enjoy this. Let him talk.
But, Midna is a very, very caring person. Except when she's not. She can be an ass.
Yeah.
She has big V energies from...
Tsundere, right?
Kind of, but like she's still
She's
like,
more like yeah.
she's
I guess
just annoyed by having to do her tasks. She's just like, listen, I gotta do shit, and it's like I gotta fucking help you to do this shit. So
She's
come on,
bratty.
pretty much.
Oh, that's why I like her.
I'm about to say, Drew, you have a type.
I didn't realize that was my type until right now.
You have a type.
Yeah.
It's like this better not awaken anything in me.
Yeah.
No, and they're like
I'm just asking for a friend. Does Link have a collar?
not a collar per se, but he has a chain around his arm.
That's not the neck. Continue.
But I think this. No, it doesn't have the most dungeons. It has a lot of dungeons, but and they're really well designed.
Just to be clear, did you play the original or the HD?
I played HD.
You might feel differently about me anyway. I'm sorry I keep cutting you off. I promise this
No, it's
isn't
fine.
like a horny joke. But how bad is the glare? Because I wanted to try Twilight Princess back on the Wii U. The bloom. Because it was, to me, the original version was already very garish with this overuse of bloom, and the HD version made it worse for some reason.
So it's very bad in some aspects, but it's not terrible for me. I can put up with it. But when you're in the Twilight, like you're in those areas, it's very like orange bloom. Like you get a lot of that, but that's because that's the vibe of that place. So
right, I guess it wouldn't be as much of a problem for me there as the overworld. How's the overworld? You know, regular Hyrule.
Overworld's pretty bright. I think it's fairly casual compared to the rest of the stuff I've seen.
Okay.
I don't think it's that bad. I think the Twilight is the worst. Because, like, you get a lot of bloom there.
Right, but it also, you know, it's a supernatural shadow realm, so, like...
Yeah, so they're trying to accentuate that.
Yeah, I think I'd be able to put up with it.
Yeah, but, like, I will say there are times when you're in there for a while, so I can see if it gets annoying then, but, like, I would just maybe say turn down the brightness a little bit, but other than that, it's not intolerable.
Right.
And, this is one of the few games that actually has, like, in my mind, really good Ganon boss fight. There's Beast Ganon, or Boar Ganon more specifically, and then you have to stab Ganon through the fucking chest. So
keep
there's
in mind
that.
the previous game, you stab him through the skull, so he's not having a good time.
You stab him through the skull as a beast.
What?
When he's a beast. When Ganon is like a monster.
Oh.
Oh no, wait, are you talking about
I'm talking about Wind Waker.
Wind Waker, okay.
Where you stab him in the head when he's just a normal ass person.
So you start him in the head. You work your way down then. Stabbing wise. Start with the head, chest.
No, because I was talking about Ocarina. Ocarina, you stab him in the head as a monster. Ocarina, or Wind Waker, you stab him in the head as a
human.
Right. When he's human, and then you stab him in the chest in Twilight Princess. But there's a story reason for that. So I guess there's that.
You're working your way down. So next game, can you stab him in the gonads?
No.
No, but everyone
Naruto's
wanted
are famously uncut.
Oh.
Yeah, they're also, according to Tears of the Kingdom, everyone wanted that Ganon cock. So
he did.
I mean, he's always been kind of built as a Chad.
I know, but like that Tears of the Kingdom.
How's the dungeon design in Twilight Princess?
Other than one, I'm gonna say I don't think it gets much better than that.
Really?
It's actually really good, and I've been through a lot of the Ocarina of Time and Wind Waker ones, and those have good designs. But the Wind Waker one, you're kind of just going through rooms, constantly going down. Ocarina has some backtrack, but with Twilight Princess, it really is like world involved, and like everything you do has an action to what's going on with the people around you, and like if there's something going on in the area, it's because it has to happen that way. Like it's not like, oh well, we're just getting the keys for this door. It's like, oh well, we're just doing this thing or that thing. It's like, no, it all works together. It all is very symbiotic in that way, and so I'm gonna say that's probably some of the best dungeons that I've played, at least in Zelda games.
Out of curiosity, what is the one you don't like? Is it the Snowy Mansion?
The Snowy Mansion, simply because it doesn't translate enough to what you need to do. I like that one a lot for its aesthetic. I do not like it for the simple fact that it does not tell you like what you need to do for a specific part, because I was stuck in one part. So
okay,
it was kind of like, well, I have all these rooms to go in. Which ones am I supposed to fucking go in? But other than that, it's okay. But no, Zelda games have always been full of side quests and stuff, and I find those ones really fun. And it's much lighter than Majora's Mask. It's not nearly as dark.
Right. I've heard Twilight Princess is more comparable to something like an epic.
Yeah, I'd say that's accurate. It is more comparable to that. Like Majora's Mask is definitely the big sad boy of the Zelda games.
So Twilight Princess can hang out with my daughter. Majora's Mask, restraining order.
Listen, Twilight Princess would maybe like your daughter would like start wearing like some makeup on her eyes and stuff, but like Majora's Mask would fuck her up. She's not gonna have an emo face. Yeah, I'm about to say, like, she's not gonna have an emo face. Yeah, Majora's Mask would fuck her up.
Yeah, mentally.
Be like, Why is this child? Oh.
Yeah, Midnight got me fucked up.
With Majora's Mask, something I will say is that there are times when you have to beat a boss more than once. When you beat the boss the first time, you get a specific thing that unlocks, so you don't have to go through the whole temple again. Because sometimes for some side quest, you have to go into the post world of that world. So like there's an area that's all frozen, and when you beat the boss, it unfreezes. You'll have to restart the day, go back to that boss, and beat him again just to do like 3 different side quests there.
Fuck that.
Except, I will say, once you get kind of used to the way that the boss functions, it's not the hardest thing. It takes like a few minutes.
Okay.
So there's that. But fuck Georg, a giant fish that will swim up and eat your shit. It's hard to aim at, and fuck.
Hey, my man's gotta eat somehow, you know.
Big old George.
All right.
But
What else we got?
To do. So.
Before we get to the P words, I do myself have to pee. But you guys can continue.
not a chance. We have to
Donnie
sit through-
Mommy 1 foot shadow goblin.
Like I said, Joe, you have a type.
Don't I know it?
Yeah, no, I know it too.
You know, over the last 6 years, I think it came out 2017. People would not shut the fuck up about Persona 5, and they kept saying, this game changed my life, and I didn't understand, and then I played the game, and I understand.
You have been enlightened.
It's so stereotypical to say Persona 5 it's a game about,
It's a game about
changing hearts
family.
and all right, let's not.
The Star Wars thing. It's a game about family.
That's what's really important. But no, Persona 5 is just, at the end of the day, it's a game with just a really nice story. It's about a bunch of underdogs.
I've always said that if you ever want to invest me in a game, good story, good characters, good atmosphere, I will buy all 3. And I will like the ones on their own. I will enjoy it. If they're all together, you've got a story and you've got it sold for me. It's fucking yes.
And spoilers for, well, not spoilers for the actual games, but for later on.
If you don't know the game by now, I mean,
well, no, we're not going to spoil Persona.
Yeah.
But I played Persona 4, and it's very good. It is a very good game. And the little bit I played Persona 3, I mean, the gameplay's kind of repetitive, but also good story, good characters. But there's something about Persona 5 that, I don't know, it feels like Atlas got a higher budget and then they went all out with this game. There's something about, it's kind of like the theme, right? Because the game has this, I hope you know what I'm talking about. The game has this very cohesive feel. There's the UI design and the jazzy, kind of rocky music. The whole urban setting, because it's all in Shibuya, and everyone's a thief, right? And you get some Ocean's 11 vibes in there, right? They're all cunning and stuff.
Yeah.
This game has such an empowering feeling of you're the underdog. You're using your smarts. Well, the characters are using their smarts to gain the upper hand and start a social revolution against the people that oppress them in day-to-day life.
I think that's more or less just good storytelling overall. You really have to thesis out your ideas and just be okay, well, this isn't a spoiler, but right after you tackle one of your biggest, what you think is a big challenge, your first boss, immediately you are shown, hey, this guy who's an important businessman thinks, well, get the fuck out of my way, kid.
Right.
And you're just why is that allowed? And you're just and you start realizing, oh, we're going that direction. They're going to start thinking, hey, let's go bigger.
For the uninitiated, this game deals with supernatural elements in that the main characters are delving into the psychic realms of their targets in order to change their hearts from the inside so that they end up confessing their crimes. And you're talking about like who appears in the first cutscene, and they come later, but the first like target you go after to like help people out is you just moved to a high school and the gym teacher is sexually harassing all of his volleyball girls
and abusing his other teammates. He's actively hurting
the
them.
guys.
Oh,
Yep.
Jesus.
And that's like the game takes this very seriously.
But the thing is, the adults defend him because, well, how else are we going to get to the championships?
Right.
And you're thinking, fuck that.
Yeah.
Right.
Fuck that.
Not all the adults in this game are assholes, and some of them are humanized because things are complicated. But this game really goes out of its way to make a lot of the adults feel like it's about corruption.
Yeah, it deals with a lot of forms of corruption.
Like, the teenagers and everyone, but teenagers in particular, especially near the beginning of the game, they're all like, dude, what the fuck? Why can't we just change society? And then you get supernatural powers to go into these guys' heads and like challenge them from the inside, and it's like, oh, we can change society for the better.
Keep in mind, just want to point this out, you don't do anything to like, when you go into their psyche, you're not actively killing them or anything. What you do is you make them feel the guilt that they're putting off.
Right.
You change them.
You basically manipulate their, what they call it is the stealing the heart. They say we'll steal your heart and we'll make it better. So it's like,
it's not malicious, that's trying to help them.
Yeah, and so what this guy does afterwards, he confesses all of his crimes.
Yeah, they call like a school assembly and he confesses his crimes. And it only gets better from there, in that you're taking on bigger and bigger targets that are oppressing more and more people.
You work your way up the hierarchy.
You're working your way up because the characters feel so motivated by this first victory that they get big aspirations. And it's cool too, because about halfway through the game their ego starts kind of biting them in the ass. Like, yes, they're very good intentioned, but people are starting to figure out that like there's a conspiracy going on here. Like,
something's weird going on.
It seems impossible, but like
I've said it before.
doing this.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I've said it before. I'll say it again. This is the best anime I've ever played.
Yes.
And the reason I say that isn't an insult either. It's not like, oh, it's like a high school drama. No, it's everything you've ever wanted out of a story.
Yeah.
You wanted intrigue. You wanted to feel justice. You wanted to feel this. You wanted to feel that. And you really get that vibe of like correcting wrong.
Right. I don't know if this is the right term to use, so forgive me if this sounds uneducated, but it vaguely reminds me of like shonen manga and anime, in the particular sense of the game is ultimately about optimism and doing good and using that power to save the day.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it, although I think,
and that's not, I'm not saying, oh, this game gives me Dragon Ball vibes, but just that specific element of the narrative. There's a lot more to it. Persona is honestly very grounded, human. It's a very human kind of game. The other games do this too, but Persona 5 especially, I might as well just throw in 4 right here and now. That game is instead about you move to a new town, as you do in every game. So, like everyone's new to you. It's a small countryside town, and supernatural murders start taking place. But the twist is, at midnight, there are broadcasts on TVs, even if they're not plugged in. Like, static will show up, and then some nights, a person will be on screen, and they're acting very differently than they do in the real world. And then a day or two later, the police will find their body somewhere in town. And you and your friends gain supernatural powers to go into the world of the TV, the midnight channel, and figure out what's going on. So the game is less about justice and fighting oppression and like an underdog kind of thing, and it's more about solving a mystery and learning about all the residents of this small town and like how the news and gossip and these murders in a small close-knit community are affecting everyone. And that is very cool in its own right, and I love that distinct vibe. It's fucking Persona Scooby-Doo. I love it, and the party members and cast are great as well. You know, the music's great, but on top of all of the nice little revisions to gameplay, like dungeons feeling more unique, more like things to power up, more people to get to know, with like the social links. On top of all of that, Persona 5 just has a narrative that hooks me more.
Well, it's a lot more about...
Because it focuses on... Like,
it focuses on mental health.
Mental health and like personal struggles. Whereas the fourth game, don't get me wrong, like every Persona game has that, but in 5, the character struggles feel like a big driving force for the entire story. Whereas 3 and 4, it is important. These characters' backstories are important, but it's not directly tied to the main issue going on.
We've mentioned all of this, but one thing I think I want to explain to Will is, even though we've explained all this, what's one thing that you might be curious about that we haven't even mentioned?
About Persona?
Personas.
So yeah. I wonder if you're going to say the same thing I am. I'm curious.
Well, I'm just going to say this. With every character you meet, you kind of... Personas are the... I'll define it as this, because it's kind of this way in the game. Is the manifestation of your rebellion in the world of the oppressed. It's like, this is what this is my spirit of how I'm gonna fight the fucking power.
Right.
And it is your spirit that is basically like fighting with you to be like, hey, I got elemental thing or whatever. They don't talk to you really, but like they have an elemental power that you can use to your advantage to take enemies down. And when they have an awakening, it's like a penultimate moment with this. It's often anime-ified. Like they cut from the game graphics to anime graphics to show you that this is a big deal.
Okay.
And it's like they're awakening like their inner rebellion. So it's like they're like, no, we're not. Fuck it, because a lot of the characters go through transformations where they're just like, they've accepted it. They've accepted that this world is bullshit. This world is whatever, and they're like, oh well, I guess I'm just gonna have to. One guy's getting his, just to keep in theme with the high school teacher, he's sick of his friends getting beat up, and the guy tripped this guy up and busted his knee once, and he's just like,
never run again.
Yeah, now he can never be like a championship runner like he wanted.
Right.
So he got so pissed that he finally was just like, I've been holding all this back, and now and finally when that moment comes and he gets it out, it's like a harrowing moment where he's just like, I'm summoning like the persona from within to just finally fuck this guy up.
Yeah.
And that happens all throughout the game.
Yeah. Every party member is basically, you find a new target that you want to change the heart of, and then you go into their dungeon, find out someone who's being oppressed by them, they join your party. After you see them at their lowest point and they have their moment of, fuck this, I'm tired of being stepped on by society and life, they get their persona and then they join your party. They're like, let's do this. I'm with you guys. I want to change the world. And
you end up changing the world so much that like people start getting hopeful to the point where someone outwardly requests to the Phantom Thieves, steal my heart. Because I feel fucking trapped. Right. And I can't do anything about it. And they kind of have the Omori situation where they're shut-in. They don't want to go out, and they like, even though they ask like, hey, steal my heart, but like, I don't want you to see me. Right. They're
still reluctant, they're still hesitant.
Yeah, they're still afraid, and they're like, they don't want to be in that fear anymore.
It's like ripping off the chains with enlightenment in a way.
Right.
The best way I can actually
sorts of the spirit.
Yes, and it's like, that is a lot of it, ripping off the chains. It's just like, no more restraint, just fucking go at it. Right. And
I'm not going to let myself be a prisoner of my situation anymore.
Yeah.
There's something briefly I want to talk about with Persona, like 1.5 subjects. The themes of Persona's fitting in with rebellion fits well for Persona 5, because Persona 5 is about rebellion. But every Persona game obviously has these. Personas are these I guess, like, inner spirits that you find within the psychic realm that are emblematic of things you feel within yourself, and they're based on a real psychological term called personas from Carl Jung. TLDR, Sigmund Freud had some good ideas, but it was a big nut job. Carl Jung was one of his students, and they ended up fighting a lot about their different views on psychology, but they both helped to really shape the field of psychology and psychiatry around the 1930s. But Carl Jung was seen as less of a nutcase. He was a very spiritual person, though. And there are some things you could argue in this day and age that he isn't objectively correct about, or like it depends on your perspective, because of that huge spiritual perspective that he had. But essentially Carl Jung's theories center around the collective unconscious, where intrinsically, I'm going through a very short version of this, but I've read like 3 of his books, and even if you don't agree with somebody, I find it's very interesting to read up on their theories, and he's a very profound man. But the collective unconscious is the theory that inherently within all of us as a species, as a community, as a people, we have ideas about what things represent. Like, the sun represents warmth and light and maybe a god. Nighttime represents fear and darkness. Snakes represent like poisonous things in life, or someone who lies, or someone who's a trickster. That kind of thing. So the personas in Persona are based on the idea of the collective unconscious. Every persona you get, they are like yokai, or figures from the Bible, like angels, or Greek gods, or jinns.
Succubi.
Yep. You even get some like literary characters in there. Like some games have like something from Lovecraft, or like a character from a famous fiction novel.
And
like,
one's just a penis.
Right. But because, a lot of mythological figures are represented.
It's blatantly a cock.
Yeah. It's a...
What's the name?
I think it starts with an
I don't remember.
In Persona 5?
Yeah.
Well,
just type in Persona 5 penis
Persona
monster.
Game.
It's on like a chariot.
Even the ones before 3, I think that thing's in.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this game's a little bit adult. It's not for kids.
Yeah.
In the psychic realm and out, it deals with adult themes. But I just
checked out.
I don't know. Persona encouraged me to read up on Carl Jung to figure out what the collective unconscious is, and like what a person's shadow and what their ego is, and it's interesting stuff. But Persona will explain kind of the spark notes of Carl Jung's theories. And I think it's interesting.
Also, just mentioning shadows in the mind world. They have a shadow version of themselves.
Yeah.
That is often the glorified way, like the gym teacher. He's like a guy in a Speedo in his dreams. He's like a guy in a Speedo with like a king's robe on. He claims he's the king of the world.
His ego.
Yeah.
And that's what he thinks he is, but he's not.
Because a person's shadow represents, often in a negative way, for most people, what you don't show society, but how you feel about yourself and your true identity inside. So
and often when you challenge them in the game, it shows what they really are, which is like the guy's like a big baby. Right. He's like a big I want to do my thing, like,
and he just cares about getting what he wants in sex and fame and glory.
Yeah.
When in the real world, he is seen as a nice kind of, I don't know about wholesome, but worthy of respect.
Yeah, he's seen as like an
gold
upper
medalist, and he's doing the school good by getting everyone to the championship no matter what, which is why the adults don't want to go against him and the students don't.
Right.
But his shadow, once you go in the psychic realm, you see who this guy really is. He's a monster. He doesn't care about the health of the students. He doesn't care about respecting them.
But one thing that's very important too is that you don't kill it.
Right.
You don't kill their shadow, because that becomes something in the game where if you kill the shadow, you sever the line between the psyche and the person.
Does it kill the person?
It can kill the person, and what it actively does is one person, it's actually seen where it's like they just go wide-eyed and they're like a zombie, basically.
They just go brain dead.
Like they're just like fucking what? And they line it up so it looks like it was an accident. But not the good guys, the bad guys.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The game goes out of its way to mention, I think even as early on as the first palace, we could kill this guy, but we're not going to because they should redeem themselves.
Yeah.
Even though these guys want rebellion, they're wanting peaceful ways to do it.
Right.
It's not
And
like,
they even
kill
discuss
all
it.
who oppress.
Not like eat the rich
Eat
type
the
shit.
rich,
Yeah, like
yeah.
no, it's like no, they're peaceful ways to get shit done.
Right.
Have this guy confess his crimes, go from there.
Yeah, change their heart.
Oh, the one other thing I want to mention about personas themselves are, I learned that personas represent like mythological figures and stuff in the collective unconscious, and that's what got me interested in the Persona franchise. I didn't know anything else about it, because I expected it to be like Pokemon, like you're collecting these monsters and stuff, and like you do, like you recruit these monsters, and they have different elemental attacks and like stat buffing moves. And like attributes, you fuse them to get stronger monsters, so you're encouraged to like kill them off to make this one stronger or see what they'll turn into. But like I'd say Pokemon is about the Pokemon. Persona is not about the personas.
No.
They are they're essentially ways to
Not a fucking chance.
in every game your teammates have one persona, but you are a wild card that can have any persona, and during your turn you can switch to a different one to like change what elements you're weak to, your stats, what you're gonna do against the enemy.
There's also even intricacies, again, sorry to cut you off, but like there's even intricacies as far as like when Drew earlier mentioned like the collective unconscious. That's a physical thing in this game where it's
there's
called mementos.
There's a dungeon that represents the collective unconscious, whereas everyone else is one specific person's subconscious.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, like what, and it's explained in the game, but it's like one person one person is so twisted and so demented, they think of themselves as higher than everyone. So that's why they get their own palace, because they feel like no one is topping them.
They think themselves to be a god, basically.
Yeah,
Yes.
they get like a god complex.
Yeah. Interesting. Very interesting.
But yeah, you don't play Persona for the personas. It's just it's to make the combat system in dungeons more interesting. Persona is really about the other half of the game, not the dungeons, but the high school and free time simulator where you work on your social stats to get shit done, and you learn about the characters around you, whether they're your party members or people that give you items or just random literal who's that might not give you any direct benefits, but you learn about their story, and it's a very human game.
And mixed with all the jazzy music and everything and the cool settings too. Like
I've heard that the music is very
yes.
Yes.
In every Persona
I was playing
game,
one of the songs earlier.
good. I've heard, it's very jazzy, very
A little jazz, a little big band,
free from jazz.
a little bit of
Pretty
like
much, yeah.
chill beats.
Yeah.
And again, the other Persona,
You can romance certain characters,
yes.
which me and Drew got in a big.
It's okay, it's fine.
We'll come back to that in part 2.
No, we won't.
No, we won't.
Maybe someday if we ever do a deep dive on Persona. It kind of feels like we are, but really we're just explaining like
The basics.
the basics here. Like
It sounds like a very interesting game. I will say that.
it is, and it even has like an element of the clock to it, to where it's like, oh, you have so long before, like, because oftentimes these people who feel like gods will be like, well, I've got so and so to fix you up, so by this date, you'll be behind bars or something like that, and
Right,
it's like,
or you'll
okay,
be
we gotta,
expelled, or we're gonna arrest this
It's
person.
like a lost cause.
Right.
yeah, so it's like, okay, you have to do it before then, otherwise it's just game over.
Okay,
Right,
I see.
and the other cool thing with the calendar system in Persona is, over the course of 9 months, besides what he said, that's like your timeline for the dungeons. It's like you have a week or two to go through at your own pace, but you also have time to prepare. During your days, high school or like weekends, you have, I think, like 2 time slots a day, usually, unless something is fixed to happen, where you can choose to go into the dungeon and grind, raise levels of your party, or you can raise your stats, go get items, or get closer with a character and grow your bond.
Okay.
And if they're a party member, that means they're going to get bonuses, like if you're knocked out, they might automatically bring you back up and revive your health, or if they're not a party member, they might be like a shopkeeper, and as you go closer to them, they'll give you better items. Stuff like that.
Gotcha.
But honestly, it's just nice going out of your way to learn about these characters because you want to. You never have to. You can just go to bed or go to the dungeon every day if you want, but you can get to know all these characters, and they all feel very fleshed out.
You also get 5 specific stats. Kindness, guts,
Courage, knowledge.
What was the last one?
It's like dexterity.
Dexterity, that's it. So based on these 5, whatever you're improving, like guts is like taking on a challenge.
Yeah. Bravery.
Bravery is like, doing things out of your comfort zone and just sticking with them. But like doing all those things consistently not only raises your... what it raises is how far you're willing to go for others.
Right.
Really. So like if you read a book on... It'll even say like reading this book gives you added dexterity. So there was a point in the game where I had to have a certain level of guts to stand up to someone. And I was like, fuck, man, if I knew.
Right.
I wanted that. Like, and I was just like...
And you never have to 100% these games for like a golden ending or anything. It's, you do as much as you think you can accomplish. So you never feel... You only feel like you failed if you didn't get as far as you wanted to with a character. Okay. You are only disappointed by the goals you set up for yourself.
Right.
There's like 20 characters, and again, even your party members, you don't have to give a fuck about them. But you inevitably will, because these characters are so likable and varied. There's like teens your age and adults alike that all have like really touching stories. And again, like these other games we've talked about, you go out of your way to help them out. And it gets emotional. I think I've told you about this. I don't know about you, but there's a point near the end of the game. It's like this in most Persona games where, you're about to leave the town because you're only there for like a year.
Yeah.
And with you get to say goodbye to all these characters, and especially if you've maxed out your like friendship rank with them, you get like an even more kind of in-depth emotional goodbye.
Yeah.
And I cried with that. And then the game ended, and I cried again. And then there's post-game content, if you do the right things, where you're going to end up saying goodbye to everyone another time. And I cried again. Because I felt that attached to these characters, and the music's all sappy when you're going down town and saying goodbye. And it's like we feel like real people.
And then in the Royal version of the game, they added even more characters.
Yeah.
So it was just like more game for everyone to enjoy. So it's just speeding up. Yeah. There was, you could talk about that game all day, but like, long story short, we greatly enjoyed the game. And as far as everything goes, like, we didn't even touch on in this podcast. We will not be talking about the games that that actually came out in 2023.
Yeah,
but
except for that first one when I did. Yeah. I didn't know what fucking order we were doing it.
We said old twice.
I'm pretty sure. I thought we were gonna do the old ones because we have more old ones than new ones.
I almost positive we said old.
Well, whatever. It's whatever.
Either way, whatever. But no.
Any final comments, Drew?
Bunger.
Send that in the meme chat.
Bunger.
I'm not joking. Send that.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. But other than that, any last words, Will?
For real?
Not you, Drew. You had your chance.
I had to
you
fit
said
it in.
Bunger.
I had to fit it in.
Hitler's only got one ball.
Had to bring something historical into it.
It's true though. Look it up.
$40 haircut looking ass.
Oh right, I did want to just give one brief final statement on Persona 4, which is I think you'll enjoy it. I hear Persona 2's story is good. It's just there's only one dungeon, and it's very simplistic. And all the floors are the same, and it's intentional. Like it fits in with the game's themes, which I appreciate. But
it gets repetitive.
It's hard to get through, even though the cast and the story and the mystery are all interesting. Like I'd have to force myself to get through that game. Just put it on easy and blitz through it. But Persona 4, it still feels a little bit outdated with its dungeons, but I think it's ultimately more gripping immediately, and I think like the party members and like the social links, I think they're just as good as Persona 5. It's just, again, I think Persona 5 has this great vibe about it, and through everything, like the gameplay, the themes, the story, the music, the UI, it feels very cohesive. Whereas Persona 4, it's like, it's about a weird murder mystery in an old town. Mm-hmm. But if you're interested in that premise, if you've played Persona 5 and that's the only Persona game you've played, I highly recommend 4. And then if you like that game too, look into 3, check out its positives, its negatives, and see where to go from there.
One thing I will say is, like, this is completely unrelated. I always see all these, like, knight games, you know what I mean? Like, knights in shining armor and everything, and, like, castles and everything, and I'm always like, just throw in one mystery and I'll fucking play your game.
Yeah.
Like, these games, like, they just look so basic. And when I look at Persona, I'm just like, yeah, it just looks normal. But then I'm like, all this shit is happening? And I'm just like,
yeah,
ooh, yeah, like, seriously.
Games have really cool stories.
Yeah, and it's just like, you're just looking at these fucking endless castle games that come out, and I'm just like, fuck. But that's enough. I'll probably have to split this raid alone into 2 parts.
Yeah.
So who knows? But other than that, have a beautiful day.
Okay.